But I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's light in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? It's Tuesday night, and that's one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we are not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the bizarre feeling that we live in a state of the upside down. We are streaming on Facebook. We are streaming on YouTube. We are streaming on D-Live. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And if you would like to be part of the show tonight, we've always done this show live because it's important to hear from you. I have the microphone here and put in a lot of time doing this, but it doesn't really matter what I think in the end. It only matters what you think. And that's literally what this show has always been about, for you to be able to think for yourself and to take the data that's kind of coming at us hard and fast, whether it's articles or whether it's peer-reviewed or not peer-reviewed papers that the media runs with, whatever it happens to be, right? There's always, well, I guess we live in this post-truth world, right? And so it's left to us to try and figure out what in the world is really going on with the world we live in. And of course, if you pay attention to the media, you'll know everything's contradictory and just in a bizarre state of, like I said when we started here, the upside down. And so as part of that, part of the entire notion of you should be able to think for yourself, the narrative that you live through your life it should belong to you. It should literally belong to you and not belong to these huge corporations, to governments that clearly are using information against you, clearly using your tax dollars to kind of turn things against you. And that's really what this show's about, just kind of thinking for yourself and all the rest of that, and just making sure that we kind of keep each other in check and we don't allow, just on a personal one-to-one basis, we don't allow people to get away away with too much BS. That's really what this is about, which is why we've always done this live, why we've got an open line, and why I'd love to hear from you tonight. The number to call is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the Discord, and you can find both the phone number and the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's the official website. You'll excuse the state of the website currently. It's under construction. We just changed podcast hosts, and things are a little bit of a mess. So, but in any case, the phone number and the Discord link is still right on top. You can't miss it. That has not changed. And there you go. So troubledminds.org, the official website. Go check it out. The phone number is there. The Discord link is there. Come join us and come ask questions with us, because that's what this show's about. And with that said, it is important, is it not, that I've always said this, that if you ask the right questions, even if you don't get an answer, it's more important to ask the right question than it is to just kind of take fake answers at face value, right? Like from the political class, from the elites, from the press, from all the stuff that they do. You know, it's an upside down world. It's a post-truth world, and it's all this stuff that we're trying to figure out. So anyway, that's what is up with this show. What's on deck for tonight? Look at this. Back in the news, oddly enough, is a mention of Jurassic Park. You guys remember that old movie from, what was that? Was that the 90s? The old original movie, and then they've remade it several times, and you know, they have like an entirely new setup with new people and new dinosaurs and the whole deal, right? Everybody remembers this show, one of the more famous movies ever made. It kind of brought those dinosaurs of our imagination back to life, right? On the big screen, of course, it was not real, but the premise back then was a little bit laughable to scientists, meaning that if you took DNA, right? So if you guys remember from Jurassic Park, the movie, and of course this was based on a book written by Michael Crichton. Very, very good stuff. If you haven't read the book, I suggest you do. The book is always better than the movie, and which is no secret to anybody, right? But so the premise from the book here, and the movie actually, is they found these mosquitoes trapped in amber, right? And they were preserved for millions of years. And these mosquitoes, of course, like modern day mosquitoes, they feasted on the blood of dinosaurs. So in this theory, in this fictional account of recreating extinct life, I guess you could say, is that these mosquitoes trapped in the amber, fossilized for millions of years. Scientists were able to take these mosquito and extract the blood that they had feasted on from dinosaurs, from these preserved mosquitoes, right? And so as a result, they would get direct DNA from dinosaurs. And so in the movie, in the book, Jurassic Park, and of course all the sequels and all the Hollywood bluster that kind of came with all of it, we got dinosaurs on the big screen, right? And it's one of those things that, like I said, it kind of got kicked around the science of it a ways back when they said, yeah, maybe, but not really, right? I mean, this is still science fiction. This isn't a real thing yet, and all the rest of this. But you know, it's still a good story, and it's good to see actual dinosaurs. So you know, it's good. They did it well. And anyway, so the reason I bring this up is it's back in the news. So let's go to this real quick. This is an individual. This is from heavy.com. And this is an individual named Max Hodak. Max Hodak. And if you don't know who he is, hold on just a second. We'll get there. Let me link. As always, transparency is part of it, part of this thing. So I'm linking all my sources so you guys can find where I'm getting this information from, just so you can make sure that I'm not making things up. It's important to me that you guys know where I got this stuff, and you can follow up and check the sources and all the rest of the things, right? So anyway, I'm dropping all the links in the chats. If you're out there in the chat on Facebook, DLive, Discord, or YouTube, I'm putting all my links in there. So anyway, this individual named Max Hodak is Neuralink's president, right? Neuralink. Everybody knows about Neuralink. Elon Musk and put the wires in your head and these, the brain interface and all this stuff, right? But anyway, this guy, Max Hodak is the president of Neuralink. He graduated from Duke in 2012 with a biomedical engineering degree. He started a MyFit company as an undergrad to match students with companies. He ended up commuting from Silicon Valley to complete his degree and sold MyFit to Naviance in 2010. All right. So this is just a quick bio on this guy. I linked it. And the reason we're talking about this guy is this in particular. He tweeted just a couple days ago here that I'll read the tweet verbatim in just a sec, link in the tweet so you guys can follow along as usual, as always. And if you guys want any of these links as I go through this stuff, you kind of want to go through and check it all out. I encourage you to go check out the YouTube page. After every show, I'll put all the links we used in the description box of YouTube, and you can follow along there. But okay, here we go. So this is what he tweeted, this Max Hodak character, all right? The president, founder of Neuralink, a partner of Elon Musk. He tweeted this a couple days ago. Quote, "We could probably build Jurassic Park if we wanted to. Wouldn't be genetically authentic dinosaurs, but, shrug emoji. Maybe 15 years of breeding plus engineering to get super exotic novel species," right? So he's bringing it up, right? And he's not just any individual. He's again an actual co-founder of Neuralink, a partner of Elon Musk, and these are the types of people that are out there moving and shaking and making things happen in the world, right? For better or worse. I think that's really the question. It's up to you to decide, right? Don't let the media tell you what to think about Elon or this guy or anything else, right? The whole deal is you think for yourself on this. But okay, so he says this. Now this is covering his actual tweet that I just read, and then also gets into a little bit more of this. But this is from futurism.com. I'm going to link this and you guys can follow along. As always, there it is. Okay. All right. So Futurism reports this. Neuralink co-founder says we have the tech to build an actual Jurassic Park. Max Hodak wants us to create brand new, super exotic dinosaurs. And so he actually went through and was kind of not just tweeting on this, he elaborated a little bit, and we'll get to that. Let's read some of this article here. So Max Hodak, the Neuralink co-founder, who recently made headlines for suggesting a religion that incorporates drugs and that his company's brain-computer interface would revolutionize gaming, is back. And now he's calling for someone to build a real-world Jurassic Park. And again, the tweet, like we said, quote, "We could probably build Jurassic Park if we wanted to. Wouldn't be genetically authentic dinosaurs, but shrug. Maybe 15 years of breeding plus engineering to get super exotic novel species." Meaning that they wouldn't be actual dinosaurs, right? Super exotic novel species. Which would mean, of course, if you followed Jurassic Park from the movie and read the book, the way they did it is they actually combined the DNA that they got from the dinosaurs to an actual like modern day ish something close, right? Like a amphibian or a an elephant or whatever it was, right? Whatever it was, and that's how they kind of mixed these things and created really. Not really dinosaurs. They were hybrid dinosaurs, right? Of a sort. But anyway, here we go. Right, it says right from the article here. For the uninitiated, Jurassic Park and Jurassic World make up a 5-movie franchise with a 6th in the works, all based on Michael Crichton's hit novel about how bad of an idea it was to open a place like Jurassic Park. Leveraging recent advances in genetic research to create entirely new creatures is certainly an enticing idea, but there's a big difference between something potentially being feasible and actually being a good idea, right? So I guess the thing is, and one of the quotes from the movie itself was Jeff Goldblum, I believe, going back to the original. He said that the scientists were so busy trying to figure out if they could get it done that they never stopped to ask whether they should or not. Yes, Kelly, frog eggs. That's what it was, I'm pretty sure. But so anyway, they took the DNA from the dinosaurs, mixed it with current terrestrial things that are able to mix these. I believe it was the frog egg or the frog DNA because of the male female switching type of situation. But anyway, but again, right? So the question isn't just, or like Jeff Goldblum said in Jurassic Park, right? It kind of comes back to that. Should we? Like this is the type of thing we're talking about. Is if we had the ability to extinct or to resurrect an extinct species, should we do it? And of course, there's a ton of different things and reasons why you might, right? Talk about bringing back the carrier pigeon or the dodo bird or whatever, right? Like anything that was kind of like maybe newer-ish in in history, that maybe mankind really had the Tasmanian tiger, that mankind had a heavy hand in making extinct. Okay. So there are some reasons why you might want to do this, all right? And, of course, some of it would include, bringing back some of the extinct species. And some of these other things, of course, like they suggest in Jurassic Park or Jurassic World and all the rest of these movies that are kind of coming out now, like everybody loves to see a good, a well-done CGI dinosaur on screen, right? So, I mean, these things are going to be popular forever until the actual Jurassic Park comes out. And then the movies won't be so popular, will they? You're right. All right. So anyway, so the deal is, should we? There's a lot of reasons why you might want to, but should we play God in that capacity? Everything that we're looking at with conservation efforts, all right, conservation and, like taking care of endangered species and all the rest of these things. It is an important thing, but at some point, don't you assume that there are just some species that are just going to go the way of the dodo, that are going to be gone forever? And if we meddle and bring them back, is that a good thing? And if that's the case and we can do this with animals, we're going to get to some dark stuff tonight. And this is a shout out to the Night Stalker out there for pointing this out to me. This is one of those ones, Night Stalker there on Fringe Discord, if anybody is looking to go say hi. But he pointed this out to me that we're going to go to a dark place tonight with this. But so we're going to start with animals. We're going to start with dinosaurs, and we're going to start with this question. Given all of that biodiversity that we need, of course, and the fact that more and more species are becoming extinct, we live in the latest mass extinction period and all the rest of this. Should we be doing this? What's up, Emin in the chat says, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? Exactly. And MJ, what's up? Michael J says everything could go wrong. And I think that's part of the problem, right? That's actually part of the problem here of what this is all about. So anyway, so this guy, again, back to what kind of brought all this up, partially as it came together. Part of this show, this idea for this show came together last night. Part of it came together today as I was looking through the news and kind of digging through some of this stuff. But here, this guy, Max Hodak, he tweeted that we could probably build Jurassic Park today. And, it wouldn't be genetically authentic dinosaurs, but shrug, right? 15 years of breeding plus engineering to get super exotic novel species. So that would be not dinosaurs at all, would it? It would be hybrids. It would be dinosaur-ish things, right? Based on, like they said, the amphibian DNA from Jurassic Park and the movie and the novel. But again, what do we expect to accomplish through something like that? All right. So back to this article real quick, and we'll keep on trucking tonight. Looking to hear from you guys. So that's the main question. If we have the technology to de-extinct a species, right, to go back, reach into history and pluck some DNA and bring it back to the future, or to the present, let's say, or in the near future, is this something we should be doing? And I think, Michael Crichton wrote the book about Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, this whole thing as a warning, right? Like he was a visionary for sure. And he wrote it as a near scientific breakthrough and a warning to what might go wrong. And I think there's a lot that could go wrong, right? I think there's a lot of this. But anyway, here we go. So this this individual, Max Hodak, again, the founder of Neuralink, tweeting about Jurassic Park and how we have the ability to go to make this now. He believes we have the ability to actually make these things now and open up a real Jurassic Park. He continued tweeting, and this straight from the article. But it's not all fun and games when you're playing God and creating new dinosaurs. Hodak later added that the de-extinction could be a valuable tool for increasing biodiversity, perhaps because we find ourselves in the midst of an era of mass extinction. Right? So what does it mean? Here we go. Here's a second quote. Biodiversity, anti-fragility, is definitely valuable. Conservation is important and makes sense. And this was his follow-up tweet to that first one there. And he continued, but why do we stop there? Why don't we more intentionally try to generate novel diversity? Hear what he's suggesting? Why don't we intentionally try and generate novel diversity? Meaning, of course, that we should be looking to create these hybrid type species to get them out there into the wild for a novel diversity. Yeah. Again, right? How could this go wrong? We already have problems with like invasive species in, Florida, for instance, and other places, right? Plants and all kinds of things. But is that all part of entropy? Is that all part of the way the world is supposed to eventually come together in the big melting pot of biodiversity? Or is it not? Is it something else entirely? I jest there. Don't read too much into that. I know what my detractors would say. But anyway, so for years, conservationists have expressed concerns over resurrecting extinct species, a process called de-extinction, in part because the ecosystems those species lived in, for one reason or another, moved on without them. To that end, resurrecting species, and especially creating brand new forms of biodiversity, would functionally be the same as introducing a new invasive species to an ecosystem no longer equipped to support it. And it goes back to exactly what Jeff Goldblum's character said in Jurassic Park. Remember the chaos theory guy? If anybody's seen this, I'm going back to the old one because it's the best one, and the newer ones are more CGI, right? More like all the newer movies. It's all more CGI, more action, less smart stuff. So let's go back to the original. But Jeff Goldblum said this in that movie, in Jurassic Park, the original. The scientists were so busy trying to figure out if they could do this, and this being bring back dinosaurs, this de-extinction. They were so busy, and I paraphrase, this is not a direct quote, of course, but they were so busy trying to see if they could make it happen, they never stopped to ask the question whether they should or whether they should not. And that's the question tonight. If we had this type of actual technology, as this guy from Neuralink, Max, what's his name? Max Hodak, Hodak, he suggests we can create this now. We can have our own Jurassic Park of dinosaur type things. Should we do it? Do you think there's any harm in this? That's the question tonight. Looking to hear from you as always. We're going to continue talking about this. And like I said, probably take this to a little bit of a dark place tonight because we're starting with dinosaurs. But there are other options that if we have this technology, well, what else could we bring back from extinction? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037 if you want to be part of the show tonight. I'm Michael Strange. This is Troubled Minds, and we're talking about de-extinction. We're talking about bringing back dinosaurs from the past. Should we do it? What could go wrong? Love to hear from you tonight. Don't go anywhere. There's more after the break, and it gets even more spicy than just this. Hang tight. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and D-Live. We are broadcasting on the Fringe FM. Do you want to be part of the show tonight? The number to call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link, join the show that way. We're talking about Jurassic Park so far and de-extinction. Is this something you think we should be meddling with? Well, a co-founder of Neuralink says this has now become a possible thing, and kind of wondering why it's not actually happening, which, of course, is then it falls into our purview, doesn't it? Where we get to talk about these things, we get to think about these things, and we get to fight back, as it were. And of course, I don't mean that. I know in the political world, highly political world we live in, the word fight has become, weaponized. And so in the old days, you could say fight for what you believe in. But these days, you say fight, and they're like, I knew it. Michael Strange is a terrorist. He used that word, fight. No. I mean, fight for what you believe in. And, metaphorically, no violence here, no violence. Because you have to, right? There's so many words now. You have to, once you say one word, you got to talk for 10 minutes and backtrack and bend over sideways just so they can't come at you, right? Anyway, I digress. Anyway, all right, so that's the deal. If you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. We're talking about de-extinction and bringing back animals from the past, specifically, of course, dinosaurs, right? That's the main one that people would love to see is, some people would love to see, let's say that, is that, what's up, NS says, resurrect something delicious, if anything. Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, so anyway, as we continue here, that's what's on deck tonight. But it gets a little more weird than that. All right, it gets a little more weird than that. So let's go to this. We've got some more articles here. So we've got the founder of Neuralink, co-founder of Neuralink, Max Hodak, suggests that Jurassic Park is now a viable thing, and that if anybody wants to do this now, it can be done with about 15 years of breeding and engineering, and you should be able to create super exotic novel species. All right. And so as a result, we could create a novel biodiversity with these dinosaur hybrid type things. Okay. So we wouldn't get a real T-Rex. We'd get, a T-Rex-ish, right? The king of the hybrids, as it were. But it gets a little more weird, right? So here's a list actually from Smithsonian, and this is where some of this is based on, right? Some of the actual science, and this has been kicked around quite a lot since the time of Jurassic Park and Michael Crichton and all the rest of this, right? But here's a list of species that they think that they should be brought back, right? Some of the ones that have actually just ended up unfortunate, like the woolly mammoth, right? So here we go. So, what extinct animal would you most like to bring back to life? This is from the Smithsonian, and which is, again, pretty good magazine. They got some interesting things. So we got some questions here. So the dodo, it's very silly. There's a suggestion here to bring the dodo back. The most dangerous would be the giant short-faced bear. All right, and then somebody says not a dinosaur like a T-Rex, and they say it's not possible. The limit of DNA survival, which we'd need for de-extinction, is probably around 1 million years or less. Dinosaurs had been gone for a very long time by then. And so this article is from 2015. So this is a few years back when they were discussing these things. And this is biologist Beth Shapiro. See what I almost did there? Not Ben. Beth Shapiro offers a guide to the science and ethics of using DNA for a de-extinction. All right. So it's one thing, right? Biodiversity, de-extinction of dinosaurs is one thing, but like, the Tasmanian tiger or the dodo bird or, the carrier pigeon, things like this, right? More modern things, maybe not. But it turns a little darker, right? this can turn a little darker, and we're going to talk about this instead. So we've kind of covered dinosaurs, we've kind of covered animals, we've kind of covered in brief some of the reasons why you might want to get this done, why you might want to actually do this. Okay, well, this is where Night Stalker comes in and shared this article with me last night, and this is from the BBC. And it's up on the stream. If you guys are watching along, I'm going to link these and you guys can check it out. So the question becomes this: if we're able to extract DNA from these long extinct critters, right? Creatures, dinosaurs, what have you, at what point would it be possible to do the same thing to a human being? Or something close, right? So if you're talking about bringing back dinosaurs from 100 million years ago, well, do you think it's possible, if we have a great DNA sample, to bring back a particular individual? Meaning, I don't know, let's say a pharaoh from ancient Egypt that was gone through the funeral rites of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which we'll get into in a little bit here, but basically been long mummified and preserved for immortality. You see what I'm getting at? And so, if we're able to get a clean DNA sample from an Egyptian mummy, a pharaoh, as it were, the god kings of ancient Egypt, do you think we'd be able to bring them back in a more pure type of DNA situation? Because we have the exact DNA of not just an individual dinosaur. We have a pharaoh, a specific pharaoh, and many of them at this point. So that's the question, right? Like I said, it takes a bit of a dark turn here, and which kind of led the whole mind screw of all this. Look at this. The BBC News reports this. In bizarre ritual fashion, I add this to the headline: Egypt mummies pass through Cairo in ancient rulers parade. All right. So the lavish multi-million-dollar spectacle saw 22 mummies, 18 kings, and 4 queens transported from the peach-colored neoclassical Egyptian museum to their new resting place 5 kilometers or 3 miles away. With tight security arrangements befitting their royal blood and status as national treasures, the mummies were relocated to the new National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in what is called the Pharaoh's Golden Parade. Yeah. So just several days ago, they had this funerary procession, you could call it. But would you instead, because of course these entities, these pharaohs of ancient Egypt have been long dead, of course, so it's not really a funeral procession. Is this some sort of, I don't know, what would you call it? A ritual of sorts? And not a funeral procession, but how about a resurrection procession? You see what's going on here? Something weird. So anyway, this continues. These pharaohs, the 22 mummies, 18 kings, and 4 queens, the god kings and queens of the Nile River of ancient Egypt, were transported to this new place called the Pharaoh's. The procession was called the Pharaoh's Golden Parade. They were transported with great fanfare in chronological order of their reigns from the 17th dynasty ruler. Excuse the butchering of these ancient Egyptian names, but you understand, of course. Sekhner Ta to Ramses IX, who reigned in the 12th century BC. Egypt experienced a sharp rise in COVID-19. Okay, sorry, this is from the article. And okay, so anyway, so point being, before I butcher up this article and read it poorly, the thing is this. So if we were actually supposed to, or have now suddenly according to this Neuralink guy, again, his name is Max Hodak. All right, Max Hodak. He says we should be able to create a real-life Jurassic Park. And now we have this ritualistic, thank you, that's the word I was looking for, Rachel. We have this ritualistic procession of the ancient god kings of Egypt and god queens, 18 kings and 4 queens, transported 3 miles away to their new resting place. And I don't know, this creeps me out a little bit. Like, what's actually going on with this? And again, right, this is the type of stuff we talk about on this show. This is what Troubled Minds is about. And I don't know. I'd love to hear from you guys tonight. Am I, like I said, we're about to go a little bit dark with this, because once you start bringing back extinct species, this de-extinction process, one, how could it go wrong, right? Kind of like we said. And then 2, at what point is too far? Robert from Facebook says, you may be able to bring back a pharaoh, but the pharaoh would have a brain void of the original pharaoh's memories, therefore would be indistinguishable from anyone else. And that's a good way to put it. But what if they somehow were able to bring back these pharaohs and then teach them what we know of the ancient ways, trying to maybe bring back the kings and queens of old. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with this. Seems a little bit weird to me that this is happening now. And I don't know. I don't know what to think about this other than it disturbs me just a little bit. And that's why we're doing this, talking about Jurassic Park, de-extinction, and this weird resurrection procession, right? I'm calling it that, of these mummies that just passed through Cairo after thousands of years of being actually dead. Does this de-extinction process, or let's say this, let's put it this way, does this ritualistic procession of the actual resurrection procession have something to do with this tweet from the Neuralink founder? Creepy stuff when you think about it. So anyway, looking to hear from you guys tonight. And if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. As you guys know me, I'm not real big, or not big on it. I'm just not good with the ritualistic type stuff. So I don't really talk about it a ton because I'm, kind of sloppy with it, and I don't know a lot about it. But I do know it exists. It's a thing. And the world over, they're doing these rituals to bring about things, all right? Good things or bad things. It depends on who you ask, or what group, or this or that or the other. There's a lot that goes into it, of course, right? The intention and all that stuff. But I don't know enough about it to really get into it, so I'm looking to hear from you guys tonight. Do you think this is weird? This resurrection procession of the ancient god kings of Egypt? Or do you think it's just, I don't know, normal? Normal. It seems not normal to me. We got a phone call here from Beechwood. Again, looking to hear from you guys. 702-957-1037. Let's go to Beechwood in Massachusetts. How are you, my friend? You're on Trouble Minds with Mike.
Oh, I'm doing awesome. I love that book. That's a great writer. A lot of good books. Wrote the book Sphere, too, which is, that's an interesting book as well. It got some good ideas. But, those are easy reads. They're real quick reads. If the books are way better than the movies. And it's worded nice. But, with the decision of being able to recreate extinct species, whether you could do it or not, it would be cool. Like, the point of creating a dinosaur now, unless it tastes really good and could be utilized, probably wouldn't be worth it. But is it that they actually want to do that, or they just want to soften you into the idea that you can actually just grow stuff in a lab? Like, if they just started growing everything in a lab, would you be okay with it? And I know food now, like farm-raised chicken. If you raise a chicken on a farm from hatch to slaughter, naturally, I think it's about a year, like 6 months or a year. The chicken you eat at the grocery store from hatch to slaughter is like 6 weeks. So it's insane what they already do, to to everything as far as, genetically modifying and cloning. People have been messing with that stuff for a long, long time. Almost all fruit is cloned or genetically modified, whether you believe it or not. It just is. But one of the things I know about cloning in particular with plants, if you keep doing it, eventually the genetics start to break down. So say you take the same clone from the same individual and you clone the clone and then clone the clone and then clone the clone, the genetics, they get weaker. And I don't know why scientifically, but I've seen that happen. But with cloning and it could mean eternal life. In the medical field, you could clone organs. And I don't think they've released everything they know about genetic research like that. I think they can clone people. They may have already done it. If you can clone a sheep, I don't see why you can't clone a person. But if you clone the human brain, say you actually cloned the human brain, would it actually be the same consciousness? And that's an interesting question that we don't know yet, at least the general public. But, the other big question to me is the other controversial thing that's going to come up with this issue is, the idea of playing God. All right, so if we have the ability to bring life to a place, to recreate life, do we do it and play God? And is it unnatural? But if we figured it out, it's got to be natural. So why would we figure it out if it wasn't natural? So at what point did we get poisoned? Where things become, the quotations, unnatural. So
biblical.
If
the poisoned fruit from the Garden of Eden, my friend.
And if we have the ability to, bring life to a barren planet, that could actually be looked at as a good thing, like seeds. Of course, there's been, negative parts about it, but all the negative things seem to come from our culture and points of view. But I don't know. I don't think there'd be any point for dinosaurs. But as far as the genetic research, that might be a way to really ease people into it and be okay with it. Because people love entertainment for some reason. We love I don't go to zoos or circuses particularly because I don't believe in putting animals in cages as entertainment, yet we still do. And we find a way to justify it as some of them are actually doing research to try to help the animals. But it's just an interesting, balance of power. And, that's a question that's always going to come up that people are probably going to argue over it forever.
Right, exactly. So what do you think about this? Did you see this this procession that happened through Cairo, as I'm calling it, the resurrection procession, where we're kind of oddly enough, right? The weird thing about this, the synchronicity of this to me, is that the reason why you are mummified is so that you can live forever. All right, that's part of what happens in the Egyptian Book of the Dead and all the rest of this, right? And why they go through this whole thing, the casting the spells. We'll get into some of that as we go tonight. But the crazy part is, because they've been mummified so well, it means in modern times we have access to their DNA now. And maybe we don't have the technology now, right? But maybe soon we'll be able to bring these folks back. And is that or is that not basically the entire reason of mummification, right?
Well, that's a wild question. As far as we know, that's the reason for mummification. Unless there's something we don't know, and it is that if your body does not fully decompose, like you're stuck here for somehow, like some sort of prison. But if we have their DNA and we could bring them back, the real question would be, would it be, the same consciousness would be for me? That's a messed up question, Could it just be an actual body and a consciousness comes into it, or would it be, you know, that exact person from that time? And that would be it, because I'd actually love to talk to somebody from that time. So, I mean, I'd probably say just go for it. But, I mean, that's...
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, we don't have... as far as we're aware, there's no experimentation in the public sphere where we're able to actually tap into that and find out those answers, right? You know, there's some people that claim that there's, you know, like the spirits are sticky, right? They know themselves and they come back to themselves, kind of like a reincarnation, right? It's like people come back, but they don't forget who they were. So imagine if we recreated somebody now from 5,000 years ago, and that same spirit resides out there somewhere. Does it, again, in some capacity, find its way back to the host, which would be the person? And creepy stuff, right? Kind of creepy. This is like
it is. You know, I think it does. I feel like I don't feel like this is my first life. I feel like wicked old. Like I like boring things. I almost like to just sit and watch just trees and bushes, and I'm happy with it. I mean, I do stuff, I work, but as far as what I enjoy, I like just simple stuff, and I feel like I don't know, I feel like I've been here before. It's so weird. I know I've called before, but I think so many people say they feel like they've lived before. They come from somewhere else, and it could just be in the DNA that, you know, it doesn't actually die until the source dies, you know, where you came from. Like the fact, like I'm technically older than my parents because I'm from their DNA. So on the timeline, I'm actually older than them. I mean, because I come from them, but do I know as much as them? Maybe in my DNA, but in the mind, you know, we're all separate people. But I just noticed that in the plant world. You know, plants, I grow plants, and you can clone them, and it's the same plant. And then when you clone the clone, and then I don't know, I try to take notes and stuff and relate it to the human world, but, you know, whatever. But yeah, I mean...
It's some fascinating questions, is it not? There's some pretty interesting implications here. Beechwood, you know the music means we got to go. I appreciate the call, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. Thank you for listening. I appreciate the insights. If you guys want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're talking about this bizarre resurrection procession that happened with the kings and queens of the pharaohs of old in Cairo, of all places. Weird stuff happening, kind of in the same time frame as somebody tweeting we could build a real-life Jurassic Park. I don't know. A little too creepy for me. Hang tight. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back.
None of this had happened. So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. There are other forces at work in this world, Frodo, besides the will of evil. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you also were meant to have it. And that is an encouraging thought.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And this is the show where we get together to talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and that bizarre feeling we live in the upside down. We are streaming on YouTube, D-Live, and Facebook. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. If you want to be part of the show tonight, the number to call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the Discord as well. We have an official website, troubledminds.org, and the phone number and the Discord link are right on top. You can't miss them. Again, pardon the under construction type of thing going on. We've got some dead links on the website, but the important stuff is there. You can find the podcast and you can find the phone number and the Discord link right on top. You can't miss it. The part that needs to work is working, and it is a work in progress. Don't worry about that. The website is going to be better soon. But okay, so tonight we're talking about, first, the co-founder of Neuralink. He goes by the name of, let's get this guy's name so I don't mess it up. He goes by the name Max Hodak. He tweeted recently that we have the ability now to bring back, to actually build a real life IRL Jurassic Park, not just from the movies, to actually bring them back and create these dinosaurs in this bizarre form of biodiversity, he's calling it, and framing it that way, which of course he says 15 years of breeding and engineering could get us to super exotic novel species. And again, when these things come up, we talk about them because clearly playing God with the creatures of the earth is probably not a good idea, right? And then so we kicked that can around a little bit, talked about that, Michael Crichton, Jurassic Park, the amphibian DNA and how they created these hybrids in the movie. And this guy, again, the Neuralink co-founder that works closely with Elon Musk, obviously, says that we could do this now. Well, then also they had this bizarre funeral procession, which of course is not a funeral, but they were moving the kings and queens of ancient Egypt, the pharaohs. They were moving them to a new resting place. And instead of just, throwing them in trucks and delicately moving them over there, they had this bizarre, large, ritualistic type parade that was celebrating the god kings of old. Now tell me, put those two together. If we can bring back extinct species, at what point can we bring back extinct people? And then, of course, there are implications of the soul. There are implications of, reincarnation. If you come back with the exact same DNA, is it possible that you come back with a cursed soul in some effect, in some respect? That's what we're talking about tonight. Again, if you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Discord link is there. Phone number is there. Let's go to John from Facebook jail. I'm going to just call John. I think he lives in Facebook jail. What's up, John? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Not bad, Mike. How you doing today?
Doing very well. What do you think about this weird stuff? This Jurassic Park pharaoh, as it were.
Jurassic crazy. That's the cheesiest line I could think of, but I went with it.
That's all right.
Well, it's just interesting for me because we're seeing a lot of talk about these kind of fringe things in mainstream news right now. And I find it really interesting that they brought up the pharaohs, because when they moved the pharaohs, it was actually on the anniversary or the celebrated anniversary when Moses parted the Red Sea. So I found that very interesting. As far as bringing back species of stuff that's, hundreds or maybe even thousands of years old, they're dead for a reason. That's how, if there's something in the past 75 years, I'd probably support that, but, hundreds of years, probably gone for a reason.
I kind of agree there. So the thing is this, like you said, gone for a reason. And that's part of the problem, right? So if we are actually the arbiters of that truth, the truth of a species going extinct, and again, there are modern cases where, the Tasmanian tiger, the homing pigeon, there's some actual like tragic cases where they were literally just made extinct by mankind, basically, right? It's just the way it was. But again, as other species make other species extinct as well. We're not alone in that. It's part of the natural order of things. Okay. And I'm not saying we should be sloppy or careless with that, but I am saying, just like you said, at some point, those species should not be here, right? I mean, they weren't able to adapt and kind of become part of their new existence, whatever that happened to be. And mankind has been awful to this planet, not just to species. We're talking about the entire climate, biodiversity, everything. So I don't know, right? But that is one thing, okay, kind of the near future. But what about dinosaurs? What about bringing back hybrid dinosaurs? Because they wouldn't be pure DNA, because you can't have like an actual T-Rex. It would be like a T-Rex and some hybrid DNA from something. So it would be a T-Rex-ish, right? Weird.
If I could get one small enough for my wife to carry it around like a chihuahua in a purse, I might do it. But that'd probably be about that. I'm not a man that really wants to go stand in front of a velociraptor. So I don't have that crazy urge. Maybe I'm not the one that's first in line for the theme park. You know what I mean? But what I do find interesting about this scientifically is the expression of genetic mapping that we have now. That to me is very intriguing, because if we can manipulate dead and gone DNA in such small quantities to create a new entity that's related to modern times, then we could probably create something that could react into our current environment more readily than what we have now. So that would be creating a new perfect species. And what we've seen on this earth, like the Plecostomus, the big black 2-foot bottom feeder fish everyone puts in their tank. Well, when we put a Plecostomus down in Florida, they took over, because for that area, they were genetically superior to everything else. So the genetic mapping, it sounds great, but when we get into hybridization of stuff, we have to quantify those exterior and outlining things, which really create domination over the things they replace.
Right. So, and what you're bringing up is a whole nother can of worms, meaning that, okay, if we're like, all right, let's go back into 100 million years ago. Let's get DNA, fractured, broken DNA. Let's make a hybrid out of it. But then, right, we're gonna merge it somehow with modern DNA to create this creature. Then this creature, of course, is not really well prepared to live today. It's just not. The world has changed so much from now till then. Just like Tim was saying, the oxygen, I think somebody in the chat there was saying the oxygen was way higher back then. Everything was larger. Like literally the world has changed. And so what we would be doing is taking these hybrid critters that aren't even dinosaurs, right? For lack of a better term, we're going to say dinosaurs because that's what we're talking about as the base here. But then we're going to take like a CRISPR type of situation, and then we're going to try and make them adapt to the modern world, right? So the tinkering doesn't even end at this hybrid thing. It's this hybrid thing that we're then tinkering with to make it survivable today. I mean, right? And then it just like it gets more and more weird and bizarre. The more you kind of go down this rabbit hole and think about it, this novel biodiversity that this individual kind of cites really means what? Like a creep show, right? Like things that have never existed of this earth is that what we're going to be creating, right? And to me, that's
modern Barnum and Bailey.
Yeah, monsters, actual monsters that have never existed on this earth, and we're somehow going to be able to juggle the DNA with CRISPR to make it survive, and this, that, the other thing. Yeah, man, right?
And then you got to throw in the monetization of it, because you're never going to have a science that's fully vested for the future unless you can find a way to monetize it. Now, if they're saying, hey, we're going to bring back mammoths so that way we can have mammoth meat for mammoth farms, it would kind of be like how Africa does caged hunts for hunters who go out and want to shoot an elephant or, a lion or something like that, where they charge several $100,000 to kill one animal because it feeds all the other animals. So that would be a way that would be profitable, but unless you can find a way to monopolize, or not monopolize, but monetize genetic engineering when it comes to animals, then it'll never just stay in animals. It will transfer, and there's no way you're going to stop it from transferring to humans, because it's kind of like, they say, oh, I'll just do it in my basement. Well, when you get to those higher end structures, there's always going to be a country that's going to use that to increase its combat readiness in some way. And we've seen that genetic engineering with, first off, the viruses that are produced inside labs. I'm not going to say any specific one that took the world to its knees here recently for the sake of the show. But
thank you.
That genetic engineering is the real bread and butter for the governments. And that's where you have to really worry about, if we can make clones, that means since we already have our genomes mapped and we know where everything is, and now we're focusing on how to improve genomes, that means we could also, create super soldiers, or we could, because it's not just going to be, I want to make my kids smarter and faster. There will be a time when a military gets involved with this and creates super soldiers. There's no way to stop it. It's either we're going to have super soldiers or we're going to have robotic warfare. I mean, that's just kind of where we're at now.
Or both. Think about it. So then we have, like, you mentioned, you're not the type of man that wants to stand in front of a velociraptor cage. Well, imagine a cloned velociraptor, CRISPR'd up to be as much as docile as we needed him to be, and then outfitted with the latest Neuralink products, right? And then this thing is like a hybrid monster with electronics outfitted to be that super soldier that's not even human. Crazy stuff. I got a question for you, my man. So I know you're of the religious type, and that's okay by me. Like, I am less of that, but it doesn't matter. Labels don't matter. But I have a question for you regarding the soul here. Now, if we were able to bring back, let's say, a genetically pure version of a pharaoh, right? 100%, exactly like it was, test tube baby type thing, and it was created basically exactly from the DNA from these mummies in this resurrection procession, as I'm calling it, right? Oddly enough, happened right around Easter, by the way. some other odd synchronicities with all this stuff happening. But do you think at some point there would be, because of that exact DNA, right? Because when you create a human being, there's like a fusion of two, right, separate DNAs, the mother and the father, that come together and create a unique thing. Now, if you resurrected this entirely in its 100% purest form, let's just speculating here. Do you think there's an implication for the soul of that individual that maybe the soul will come back and try and find them at some point?
I see what you're saying there. You're asking if the soul is going to come back into the body after it's recreated. And I think that's actually a very dangerous question to ask, because as Christian that I am, my focus shouldn't be on if you have a soul. It should be, I should lead you into the correct path in life by role modeling good behavior and hoping that you appreciate it enough, you want to model yourself after my behavior. So I feel like if we start down the path of, does this person have a soul? Does this person have a soul? It's going to lead to a situation like we have now in America, where people question each other's motives based on political ideologies and not on how they are as a person. So I guess the way I would frame it is, if this guy was created and he was totally evil, and another one was created and he's totally perfect, I think I would worry less about his soul and worry more about changing his moral actions to be like the one that's better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. But I understand what you're saying. But so you don't want to speculate on the
I just don't want the label to start.
I understand. It's because it becomes like a judgment of people's souls, right? And that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
That's not our place. But do you think there's a problem there? I mean, I guess that's the whole point there. Is that, do you think there's a problem bringing back an exact DNA from the old days? And do you think that individual will have, let's say, unique challenges? I guess that's a better way to put it. That's less solely, less woo, and more kind of to the point.
Well, I think there would be, I do think there would be challenges, because there's going to be people that naturally resist this because they're going to be ultra religious when it comes to this stuff, where, and I'm not going to say ultra, I'm going to say more like Zionist religious when it comes to it. But there's going to be a type of discrimination. There'll be a type, whether they'll be superior or inferior, that's kind of whichever way you want to do. When that time comes, we'll probably get to that. It'll probably start off inferior and then end up superior. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But, I see a lot of challenges with that. As for this actually happening, I would strongly discourage it, because that would lead to a perpetual state of puppet leaders, I think, in a country. If I could, we'll just use a random, not real president. Let's call him Bo Jiden. So if Bo Jiden, were to die, and I didn't want to lose his spot in the residency, I could just create another Bo Jiden and stick him up there and continue the policy. So that way it looks like there's a Bo Jiden in there, but really it's just clone Bo Jiden.
Right. I follow you. I follow you. I didn't actually expect to take the Egyptian procession to that extreme, but I get what you're saying.
Just an example.
I know. I get what you're saying. All right, so let's wind this up. We got other stuff to get to kind of round this out. Now it's weird though, right? That it all kind of happened. This whole thing happened in the same weekend, right? With this funeral procession, or again the resurrection procession, I'm calling it, because it's kind of like a blasphemous thing, it seems like. And then we have the guy tweeting about the Jurassic Park stuff, saying that, hey, we could do this. We could be, we could make these things. We could make these monsters now, right? Why is nobody doing this? And then we have Easter. And like you said, we have an actual synchronicity with Moses parting the Red Sea as well, happening all around the same time, right? Kind of the same weekend here. I don't know. Is that coincidence, or do you think there's something else? Bizarre, right?
Well, there's also Gog Magog being referred to right now, which will be something I have to explain later. But what we have to realize in the world politics right now, there's a holy war ramping up that's not really being talked about. And it's not us versus Muslims or anything like that. It's us versus Russia. And if you look at the timetable of things that are happening with certain groups that come after 16, there's a real radicalization of religious movements and an increase in negative press. There's a push to watch for pedophiles, and there's other things to watch for. And then at the same time, when you have another country reestablishing churches inside and appearing to align with Trump to fight a deep state, we're seeing a lot of psychological warfare that's being used, or that is using religion to really kind of force this. And we're seeing it on the other fringe movements increasing too. So it is really distracted from these past 3 months of troop movements that's been happening around the globe. And if you really look into this stuff, just in the past week, the map of Crimea we are looking at the World War I map is completely remade right now. All the countries that were there around Russia's border, it is right back in place. So, and when you talk about Gog Magog to the Israelis, that's the second coming. They believe the Messiah is coming. Yeah. So I would be careful on watching or reading a lot of extra stuff, because right now we really are just days away from World War III.
Okay. Well, I'm not, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that specifically, other than high five. I mean, You know what
I imagine.
you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I'm not so sure I buy that entirely days away. But let's hope that's not the case. I guess let's put it that way. High five was the wrong way to put it. Let's hope that's not the case. And think, the prayers, the positive thoughts, the frequencies, the vibrations, all those things, put it out there, guys. We don't need World War III on the way. John, I'm going to just forever call you from Facebook jail. Thanks for using your one phone call tonight to contact us. So I can't bail you out.
I'm calling you from underneath the Kremlin. They're beating me right now.
Okay, perfect. John from Facebook jail, I appreciate the call. You were the best as always. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Hey, buddy.
Thanks, man. Good stuff. Good takes there. This is why we get together and do it in this format, because it's just it's critically important to get takes like that. Like John there he thought about this an entirely different way than I have, and that's good. That's good. That brings all of some. Let's not say all of it. It brings a lot more of this stuff together in the sense that we're able to look at some of these things and try and make sense of them ourselves, And from my perspective, from his perspective, from your perspective, you throw them all out there, and you again kind of get closer to a better version of the truth, whatever the truth may be. I don't know what it means anymore, because in the post-truth world, there's not a lot of truth anymore. But anyway, you get the point. So what we're talking about tonight is this weird Jurassic Park tweet from the co-founder of Neuralink, and then we're talking about this bizarre procession of the ancient pharaohs, all right? The actual mummified corpses paraded through Cairo. As if, well, I don't really know what it's for. It seems weird. They're moving them from just one museum to another is basically what's happening, right? But it just seems weird to me that we end up in this bizarre situation where it seems like a ritualistic something. Bizarreness. William says Easter is not for Christ's resurrection, but for the Egyptian goddess Ishtar. And so I don't know. Again, like I said, I'm ignorant in those things, so I'm not going to confirm or deny that. I appreciate the input there, William. Good stuff. But I know a lot of these religious stuff is all tied together, right? So anyway, I'm not going to, it gets sticky, right? You can't say anything or you piss somebody off. And no matter what you say, somebody's pissed off. So there you go. I'm going to leave it at that. Great comment. And as we talk about this tonight, we'd love to hear from you. You know the deal. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037 if you want to be part of the show tonight. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're talking about de-extinction. We're talking about bringing back not just dinosaurs, but what if you could bring back an exact replica of DNA from the past? Very much like a pharaoh from Egypt. More after the break. Don't go anywhere.
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and D-Live. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. If you want to be part of the show tonight, the number to call is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can go to troubledminds.org. That's the official website. Phone number is there on top. Discord link is there on top. We're taking calls on Discord. We just had John from Facebook jail on Discord, and we got Tim on the phone. We're going to go right to him in just a sec. We are talking about de-extinction, bringing back dead things from the past. It starts with dinosaurs. But it kind of got me thinking as we get this individual from Neuralink suggesting that somebody should be really doing this now, bringing back dinosaurs, doing the Jurassic Park thing. He thinks that we have the actual technology to do this. The question remains, should we? Right? Kind of like, again, back to Jurassic Park and Michael Crichton, the book that he wrote. The character of Jeff Goldblum in the movie, the original, said, the scientists were too busy trying to figure out if they could. They never stopped to consider whether they should. And that's what we're talking about tonight. Humans playing God. And crazy stuff here. We're going to go to Tim in Georgia, and then we've got Night Stalker on the phone right after that. Tim in Georgia, what's up, my friend? You're on the phone with Mike. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Mike? How are y'all tonight?
Doing good.
I got a couple good things to cover.
All right, go for it.
A few days ago, there was an attempted coup by the prince on the king of Jordan, on the king there. And it's interesting because of the timing of that event to coincide with the moving of the mummies. Now, what's funny about all this is there's been, we Nostradamus and his predictions, and already right away a couple people have said, look, I'm pretty sure this is in a quatrain where he predicted 6 days worth of events that would happen, and they believe that those events have just occurred with one big event yet to come, and I think that's on April 12th, and I'll explain why here in a minute. So they had a lot of bad luck. If you look up some of the press about these mummies and look up the history of anything to do with these mummies, people have died in accidents, bad things have happened to the Arab countries all over, supposedly, these mummies. Now, how much of this is true? We don't know, but I can tell you what's reality, and that's the prince really tried to take out the king, and that's so there is a rule that they have, a law with Israel, that if something happens to the king of Jordan, the property of the third temple belongs to the kingdom of Jordan, but if something happens to the king, then the property goes to the Israelites. It goes to Israel, and that would allow them to build the third temple. That is how close it came, folks. That would have plunged the world into total chaos. So moving the mummies was an act of the Latin term for order out of chaos. Now, this has to do with even bending time, my friend. It really does. It absolutely does. These events have to do with bending time. 110%. What you're seeing go down. And what John brought up about Gog and Magog, we were discussing earlier today. Why is April 12th important? First of all, 60-year anniversary of the first man in space, Yuri Gagarin, the Russian cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin. Okay? Also, April 12th, looking back in history, was when the Christian Crusade sacked Constantinople and really ended that part of the Roman Empire forever. And it changed world history. And it wasn't long, that was prophesied by Daniel to King Nebuchadnezzar, and that the 7 tribes of Europe, the potter's clay feet from the dream, from the King Nebuchadnezzar's dream, would be the downfall and the birth of the new world, which is exactly what is taking place now. So what Daniel told King Nebuchadnezzar, and if you read Ezekiel 38, those events of the Messiah's return are taking place. It has taken place, and it's my belief, my personal opinion, looking at everything that's going on, I think the Messiah has returned, and I think we're watching the showdown between Gog and Magog, which is peoples and not individuals. And let that be known. You're not talking about 2 individuals. You're talking about peoples. And I was glad that John brought that up on his call, because where do we fall into all this? Well, 2/3 of the world are against us. I don't know if you fundamentally understand that out there in the Western world, ladies and gentlemen, but it's not looking real good when some of our NATO allies like France are sitting this one out. Right now, there is Defender Europe 21 taking place, which is a major exercise involving a lot of ex-Soviet countries right on Russia's doorstep. Georgia, Latvia, Estonia, Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, I mean, you name it, they're involved. And this is why Russia has been testing all its new weapons the last 4 days, and why they've been freaking out and moving troops in. They just told Finland that they would bring troops to their border. This literally all has to do with those mummies and bringing order out of chaos. The
Good stuff,
symbolism of this.
Tim,
comes,
let's wind this up. I got two callers behind you. If you want to elaborate and go, call back in the third hour. Okay, I just can't go 30 minutes like this.
I sure will.
I appreciate it. So we got two guys behind you. So let's wrap it up, and then we'll get to them, and just call us back in the third hour.
Okay. Well, I'll call back later, Mike.
I appreciate it. Good points. So I'm not. Please don't take me wrong. I'm just trying to include everybody here.
No, man. No, let them other callers have their turn, dude. Let them go ahead.
Okay.
There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. I don't want to get stopped in the middle of it.
Okay. I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. You're going to call back, right? Promise you'll call back?
Thank you. Yep, I sure will, Mike.
Okay. Talk to you in just a little bit. Thank you for the call. There you go. Let's go to, this is Derek, I believe. Derek in Massachusetts. Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
What's going on, Michael? Great show tonight.
Thank you.
I'm at work right now, so if I seem a little like I'm scrambling, it's because I'm cranking out some stock in the aisles right now.
That's okay.
But
I understand.
You're talking about this like resurrection of these dinosaurs and this whole resurrection ritual and everything. And to touch on what the previous calls were talking about, it definitely seems like it's some kind of like Masonic ritual. Like when McCain, before he was buried, after he died, they took him on this big tour around all these sacred sites in the United States. And it's this big, I'm not sure what really the goal is, but it's this big Masonic funeral rite. So I'm not sure if it's the same thing happening in this instance with the kings. But weirdly, at the beginning of the virus, initially there was a couple stories them blaming this like cruise that took place on the Nile. Like apparently there was this like hodgepodge of people from all around the world who were all on this ship at the beginning of the virus, and because they were from all around the world, that was like almost like the patient 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? That kind of spread it across the world. So I wonder if it's some kind of ritual to do with the virus, because Corona means crown. So it's all linked up with all this king stuff, and there's been Osiris stuff at the Super Bowl, Osiris stuff. There's the Little Nas X thing, like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as like the
go ahead. Sorry, go right ahead.
Sorry, I'm just trying to make it quick. I know you have other callers, but as far as like the other, like the resurrecting the dinosaur and the Jurassic Park thing, I worry about them. Like I think the big end goal of what the tippity top of the elites, what they're trying to do, is to resurrect the Titans. So like basically these like Lovecraftian old ones, these primordial old gods that were cast out for some reason out of this plane of reality, and they're trying to bring them back in. So do they have some kind of DNA from something super ancient they're trying to create a vessel for, so they can bring something in from the other side to be housed inside that vessel? Could they perhaps find some DNA from space? It's like something from a rock or some kind of crazy creature in Antarctica. Like there's a lot of rumors that Buzz Aldrin and John Kerry and stuff went to Antarctica that time because they found something DNA related. So whether it's a completed Titan frozen like Transformer style, or whether it's like some kind of trace of some kind of ancient site that was there that has DNA or whatever, the possibilities of what they could actually be creating is endless, you know? And that's pretty much it.
That's good stuff, man. And so for those folks that don't know, this is the Night Stalker from Fringe FM Discord, and he's actually the guy that shared this article with me last night, the actual Egyptian procession here. So good stuff. I appreciate it, and good takes on all that. You were absolutely right that if we can somehow create a vessel for some monster, homunculus, whatever this thing is, that maybe these alien entities could be a possibility. If you can, I mean, look at the Hayabusa, right? They just had that dirt come off the meteor that went back to Japan that they supposedly in a laboratory now. Like you said, maybe you scrape some DNA off of that and you're creating what? Lovecraftian old ones, man. You're bringing them back.
Exactly. It's like what Jordy Rose said. Like these entities on the other side are very similar to the old ones. These like primordial monsters. So I think the goal is to open portals to bring them literally in, but I think that's like a big kind of grand end collapse But in the meantime, they're trying to find ways to kind of game the system, like creating these robot bodies for them. But I think the best thing to do would be create some kind of like dinosaur, some kind of Godzilla type thing. And I don't want to give any spoilers away, but also the same week that all this was happening, there is a weird resurrection of Godzilla type monsters with some kind of neural link connection. I don't want to give anything away in King Kong versus Godzilla. So the idea that you can control these monsters with your mind is something that they're definitely trying to do. And I don't know if people heard about this, but like when Japan created that giant Gundam robot, they also like a month later created a thing to use to control a smaller Gundam robot with your mind. So the pieces are in place that there's going to be some kind of crazy kaiju battle, robots versus monsters versus Lovecraftian old ones. There's all kinds of stuff. You know, the possibilities around this. But,
it sounds like a bad movie.
I got to get going though.
All right, I appreciate the call.
Exactly.
Thanks, Derek. I'll talk to you soon. Appreciate the call. There you go. That's Derek from Massachusetts. Good takes, right? Good takes all. Again, he's the guy that linked me I didn't see the procession, the Egyptian pharaoh procession article. He linked it to me last night. We kind of chatted about it in the Fringe Discord. So if you guys haven't joined that, go to fringe.fm/chat and join that Discord as well. Lots of smart people there as well, just like our Discord, troubleminds.org. Click the Discord link, join it there. We got another call, going straight to another call. Do you guys want to be part of the show tonight? We're talking about this weirdness, de-extinction with DNA from dinosaurs and creating hybrid things, because they wouldn't be dinosaurs themselves, they would be monsters, wouldn't they? Talking about this procession of the pharaohs, the kings of old of Egypt, and some all this weird synchronicity of Easter and resurrection, and again, like Derek there said, some other weird stuff too with the Lovecraftian old ones. What are we trying to bring back here? I think that's the scary part. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Putting the phone number up on the stream. Going to the next call. Let's do it. You are on Trouble Mind with Mike. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Justin, Michigan.
Justin from Michigan. How are you, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Good. Dinosaurs and pharaohs. What a headline.
Weird, right? Weird. What do you think about all this?
Crazy, man. Yeah, let's bring them back. Why not?
Just why not bring him back? Do you think there are implications with bringing back the exact DNA of a living human? Again, like I asked John there, he kind of didn't want to touch on the soul implications, but there's they have what's called the curse of the pharaoh, right? And so in the original, when they went into King Tut's tomb, many of the people that actually went into it and had first contact with the unmolested treasures ended up dying, right? And they called this the curse of the pharaoh. Do you think that in some capacity, if we were to bring a pharaoh back with their identical DNA and we had that technology, I don't know that we do, but let's say we did, do you think there are implications with the soul there, and the curse of the pharaoh maybe follows them into the next life because they aren't really meant to be here?
Ooh, that's interesting. Could be. Yeah. Why not?
Why not, right?
And it could be completely harmless too.
yeah, exactly, right. I think that's the thing. I guess it comes down to what you really believe, right? We're talking about, dinosaurs are one thing, dinosaur-ish things, monsters or vessels, like Derek said there, to kind of bring these whatever it is. Like, we don't even know what the entity's consciousness would be from 100 million years ago.
I mean, yeah. Does Dolly the sheep? Does that have a consciousness?
I think
was that her name?
Yeah, Dolly, the original sheep they cloned. Yeah, I think for sure. And she died early, by the way. I think she only lived a couple years and then ended up dying because of actual problems. But they've done it since, right? So that was just the first try. So you figured, try again, and they live longer and longer, and they're more healthy. But maybe that was the curse. Maybe that's the curse of like reinstating DNA for the second time. There's some sort of erosion of that, right? It seems to make sense to me. Yeah, right? Go ahead, sorry.
Yep, yeah, there could be. Yep. Or they placed, everything in jars and put it all separate so that the DNA was there, and that eventually they would be able to piece it back together and have their rebirth or eternal life.
Which is terrifying, yes?
Well, yeah, right. I mean, actually, yeah. I mean, what did they know? What happened? What was going on then?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, and that's part of the problem. I don't think I'm pretty sure if we were to do this, let's say we brought back like Ramses II, right? And we, actually, oddly enough, Anne Rice wrote a book about this, about Ramses coming back. But if they did, I think that it would actually be you would have to re-educate this person, right? But it would still be right that their same DNA, their same brain, like their same everything, which I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know the implications of that beyond just
right,
like scientific, but beyond kind of teaching a baby how to walk or whatever.
And the only thing is we'll never know unless we do it. And if we don't do it, somebody's going to do it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
If the technology is there, somebody's going to do it eventually. So, I mean, there's no point in holding off on it. In my own opinion.
Yeah, so I understand that take is that if somebody is out there and they're going to do it, then it may as well be us, right? Because if you don't, then these super dinosaurs with the Neuralinks built in and the machine guns are going to be rolling with China. And I hate to put it that way, but I mean that's just how it is. That's just how it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because they're going to do whatever they want. We're not going to tell them what to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's part of what's going on right now, and why we have some of these World War III jitters, I think, happening too. Is part of that.
Right.
China's on the move.
And our government does whatever they want too. They just keep it a lot more secret than the CCP.
Yeah, exactly, and just lie their ass off to us, and we're just trying to figure it out.
There's a reason there's tunnels all over or suspected, dumbs and tunnels, underneath everywhere and everything.
Exactly. Hey, I'm making a note here so I get your name right next time. Can you tell me again your first name, where you're calling from? I just want to make sure I know who I'm talking to. Justin, I appreciate that. If I don't have a note here, I ask you every time, and I'd rather just say Justin. And where are you calling from?
Michigan.
Got it. Okay, I appreciate that. Anything else while we got you on the phone, my friend?
Nope, that's all, man. Thank you.
You were the best. I appreciate the call, and good stuff.
Enjoy the show, and I can't wait for you to bring back the news show. That's my favorite part.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we'll get back to the news show soon. It's coming back in the next week or 10 days. Promise. We'll get back to it. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate it, man. Talk to you soon.
Yep.
There we go. All right. So if you guys want to be part of the show, we got a few minutes left. 702-957-1037. We're talking about this weird stuff, right? We're talking about this Neuralink co-founder has tweeted recently that he thinks that Jurassic Park is now possible. And why are we not doing this, right? And he thinks that this could usher in a new era of biodiversity. Biodiversity, right? Think about what that means. Biodiversity. All right. Now imagine you have God's creatures. And I'm going to just say it like that. If you're religious or not, that's fine. But God's creatures. All right? Natural creatures on this earth. And then you start introducing alien creatures into this, well, and these, whatever these things are, they start competing with the creatures of the earth. God's creatures. You see, we have a problem here, do we not? I think we have a problem here. I think when you start talking about these things and start thinking about really playing God with DNA and de-extinction and the rest of this, I think it's troubling. I think it's one of those bizarre spots where technology in many times can be good and we should follow it and chase it, but in some capacities we shouldn't play God with certain things. I don't think we should play God with the environment. And part of that is, particulates in the air to block out the sun because, global warming, right? Global warming, right? Particulates in the air to block out the sun. That's one, right? Like, it's unbelievable to me that academics are considering this, right? Because anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But in the same breath, you can also say the exact same thing. Like, how do we take DNA in this de-extinction and really play God with this? That's crazy stuff. This is crazy stuff. What's up? NS on YouTube says lasers, Mike, not machine guns. Lasers. That's right. The sharks and the velociraptors, they have to have laser beams, of course. Laser beams. But okay, that's what we're talking about tonight. Got a couple minutes left. If you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. We're winding down to the end here of the final segment on Fringe. We'll have another hour after this on YouTube, D Live, and Facebook. If you guys are there, hang tight, don't go anywhere. But in the end of ends, when we're talking about this stuff, it really comes down to human hubris, right? And I say this often on this show. I think that there should be some barriers. At least, I hate to say regulation because that implies government, and don't get me started on that either. But I don't know, like playing God with all of the things, right? Playing God with the environment, playing God with DNA, playing God with de-extinction, playing God with these pharaohs and this ritualistic procession through Cairo. On Easter weekend, it just seems, again, like, right? Like, are we or are we not living in the upside down? Or are we just kind of taking weird steps and kind of trying to make something out of nothing? That's what this is about. That we're asking these questions. I don't know these answers. These answers are much larger than myself. And I like Derek there, who called and talked about the old ones. Like we're trying to bring back kind of like in the upside down, right? With the Demogorgon from Stranger Things, right? Maybe that's an actual just a way to bring back the Lovecraftian old ones who have been banished from this universe. Who knows? There's a lot here to talk about, a lot here to think about. That's why we do it, right? But again, right? Are we on about a whole bunch of nothing? There's always that too, right? You always have to consider that we're on about a whole bunch of nothing. We've convinced ourselves that a bunch of this stuff really means some things that it doesn't mean. That's why we ask the questions. That's why we do the show. That's why we talk about this. That's why we do all these things, and that's what this show's about. I appreciate you guys listening tonight. Thanks for being part of this conversation. It continues. This is not a conversation that just stops because the show is over. This is a conversation that continues tomorrow and the next day and the next day. We have tomorrow's show picked out. We're going to be talking tomorrow about animals and their sixth sense and familiar spirits. That's what's on deck for tomorrow night. Right now, if you're listening on Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop, Lighting the Void. If you're listening on D-Live, YouTube, or Facebook, don't go anywhere. We got a third hour coming up for you. And be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. What the hell is this all about? Don't go anywhere. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. I'm me, you're you. Together we're us, and we're talking about this weirdness, right? This bizarre de-extinction happening. That's whatever the hell it is, right? Like, does it have anything to do with this weird procession? Again, I'm calling it the resurrection procession that happened in Cairo, right? They just moved here. I'm going to put it up. I'll put up the article because me just fumbling through it, trying to explain it is less good than just a link in the article. But I don't know. It just seems a little bit strange to me that we're having like this big, huge procession of ancient pharaohs kind of rolling through. We're gonna get to the Egyptian Book of the Dead. We'll get to that. Thank you. Please, if we get off track, please remind me. Please remind me, Matt. Thank you. Yes, we're gonna get to the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I do have that tonight. Here we go. All right, let's go to. We got a phone call again. 702-957-1037. You guys want to be part of the show tonight? Is this Egyptian stuff? Is it like ritualistic? Is there some sort of synchronicity with this, or do you think it's much ado about nothing? It's the Egyptian culture celebrating their culture, and that's that, right? I can buy all the views all together. You line them up, whatever it is. Sharks with laser beams. You never know what you can get on the show. 702-957-1037. There you go. I linked the article we're talking about and where this kind of came from. This individual, Max Hodak, talking about Jurassic Park is a thing, and it should be a thing. And we could be doing this in 15 years, have these creatures that are not really dinosaurs, but could help get super exotic novel species and help biodiversity in some capacity. If that doesn't sound alien to you, I don't know what is. But here we go. Let's go to the Copper Mustache on YouTube. You're on Trouble Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Hey, buddy. What's going on?
You already know, man. Pharaohs and dinosaurs.
Yeah. Okay, World War III beers. Okay.
Right.
So anyway, a couple things. First one is I'm a big history buff. I've always been with college sports, the whole 9 yards. And the one thing that I've never seen anybody dispute was that the pyramids, and this doesn't mean the Egyptian ones, but the ones in China and Mexico and wherever you find a pyramid or haven't found a pyramid, were not built by people of that time. There's just no way. We've seen different languages, we've seen civilizations, we've seen the way they just build these things are so far advanced, more advanced than we are probably today. So now we're talking about tonight's subject, which was the mummies. And the big thing here is, okay, so here are these primitive people who are mummifying human beings who've lasted, thousands and thousands and thousands of years. They had to have some kind of smarts to do that. Now, people also say, well, they used herbs and things like that. Okay, so maybe that was their way of whatever the species was to say, once you guys become smart enough, figure out what DNA is, you can bring us back and we'll tell you what's going on. That's my most simplest way of saying it.
So, okay, so you're suggesting that maybe the Egyptian Book of the Dead with the herbs and the spells are some way to retain the spirit with the body, and that if we did resurrect them in some capacity, that they would retain their knowledge from the earthly position 5,000 years ago. That's wild, bro.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I don't really see it as spells, and I don't think they want to destroy us by opening up these things. I think they want us to open these things up because they could help us. Give us their knowledge, maybe even bring one of them back, which we've proven to be able to do. And just the small amount of research I've done, I mean, DNA, we've already proved the last 70,000 years. It took us to 1985 to figure out, okay, these mummies actually have survivable DNA. So from 1985 to now, you would think, well, somebody's done something to figure out what we can do with this. I mean, DNA has come a long way, not only in criminology, but a lot of other ways. So we're learning more and more about DNA. So my suggestion isn't anything hocus pocus like. It's that they actually physically planted it there for future races or future human beings, whatever it was that we were, to evolve and get this information. And by doing that, maybe it would bring them back. Maybe they didn't get a chance to leave this and go back to their own place. And this was the only way that they could come back. The Book of the Dead, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so I was actually reading. No, go ahead. No, go ahead. You go ahead. Okay, so the Book of the Dead, I was reading some of this today and kind of preparing for the show, and there are some bizarre things that are kind of exactly what you're saying here. They call them spells, right? And so the Book of the Dead itself is not, the Egyptian Book of the Dead is not like a book. It's not like, it's actually hieroglyphs that are written on the walls of these tombs, right? And so and they've taken them and kind of compiled them and put them together, and that's what's known as the Egyptian Book of the Dead. But so not only do they have the descriptions of, again, removing the organs from the body, right, to keep them preserved. Again, like you said, they have They wrap them in linen that are soaked in herbs, and I think is it salt water? It's something like this. Like there's a whole bunch of things they put. It's some kind of salve. They don't know exactly what it is at this point, because even then, right? So bizarrely enough, for all our science and all our knowledge and all our things, we still cannot mummify things to the level that the Egyptians did 5,000 years ago, right? And part of that is this whole Book of the Dead business. And they call it spells in here. And I'll just kind of gloss over some of this as we go to talk about this and really start the conversation here in the second half. But it isn't that the whole point of that extra living forever, of immortality, right? Is being able to preserve the vessel that is and keep it whole enough, keep it alive enough that eventually somebody's able to pluck a hair and bam, throw it in a test tube, and we've got Ramses II returns. You know what I'm saying? We got some weird stuff here.
It's the continuation of life. Maybe they're alive that either they had to leave the planet or they didn't. They just died here, right? And they wanted their species to go on. Well, this was their way of doing it, but they weren't going to let it go on until they knew it was time for it to go on. Because why would you want to give it to? Okay, let's say that I landed on Mars tomorrow, and this big old alligator from Mars came over and ate me. Well, guess what? I'm probably not going to go on any further. But if I was able to figure out a way to kind of bury myself in Mars and keep all my tissues and stuff, maybe some future guy like this alligator turned into an actual being, dug me up and then said, hey, there's a guy here. What's going on? And built me as a new person. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, well, from any remnant, right? You can recreate life if you have literally. So I was just reading this thing, and I was going to incorporate this tonight, but it's a little much because it's already dense the way it is. But they just determined that they can collect your DNA from the air. So they have these HEPA filter-like things that they're using to collect DNA from animals, right? And they're like, well, it's really good because we can put these things down in the gopher hole and not have to catch the gopher. We can just collect their DNA from the air, right? You see what's going on here? So you don't even need like a body or a husk anymore. You need like somebody to walk by in a brisk wind, and that's that. It's a wrap. They've got the DNA sample they need. Like we'll get to that at some point and talk about these things. But holy shit, right? If it's a brisk wind is all you need, and you can recreate something based on a tiny microscopic thing in full 100% accuracy. Holy shit, right? We've got some crazy stuff.
But why is that so surprising? If you take a dandelion, the kind that you can blow in the air and their little seedlings go all over the place, it's kind of principle.
That's true. That's a good point. I think it's terrifying because I think in terms of the surveillance state, just capturing people's DNA walking down the street, that's why it scares me. Yeah, good stuff, man.
Here's my other thing. Have you ever heard the Bill Murray principle on this?
Nope.
Okay, so we already established tonight that there was one. The first cloning was a sheep, right?
Right, Dolly the sheep. Yep.
Okay. And its name, I just looked it up, but it sure enough was Dolly. And when it was a baby, it was a lamb. So she was a Dalai Lama.
Oh shit! Now you're really mind fucking me. Here we go.
No, I just had to bring some light into the.
No,
conversation.
No, it's
sorry.
funny. No, it's good. It's good, bro. That's good. That's good insight. No, and I think that sorry, go ahead.
I love the show, and
I appreciate it. Before you go, I got a question for you though. So I brought up the curse of the mummy earlier, and the implication of a reincarnated soul in the same DNA body. Do you think there's a problem there?
Right.
I don't know if you're a religious fellow or not. It kind of doesn't matter.
No, and I heard your previous guest. Why? And I don't understand why it would. If you take it like the movie version, and this thing's like got, it's rocking around like, then obviously got a little issue there. But what I think they're saying is, again, it's a rebirth. Okay, maybe it's to help us, maybe it's to rejuvenate their lives. But I don't see this as being a bad thing, only a good thing. For example, I've talked about Elon Musk in the past on the show, right? And we want to use jumping points, right? So by going to Mars and things like that. So maybe, but Elon Musk's big thing is we only have so much to work with, right? Like right now, we're pretty much running out of ideas, We don't know how to get to that next level. Maybe these guys are going, oh, wait, they're there. We need to go show them what the next level is. And this is their way of doing it over the years. It's kind of like a time machine built into them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they did all this stuff into a mummy. We figured it out. Oh, hey, look, there's DNA. Maybe we can rebuild one of these guys. And then we find out from these guys what's next.
Which has larger implications of secret societies, the elites, where we're headed, the Great Reset, the end of the world, right? All the rest of this stuff. Like once you start going down there, like my mind just goes boom down the rabbit hole.
But that's also taking it from a cynical standpoint. No offense intended. Look at the positive standpoint.
Oh, right.
It could also be a way to extend our lives, a way to find new to life. Maybe they came here. We said we were talking about something earlier about oxygen. Maybe they all came here because that's what they were actually trying to get was oxygen, take back to their planets. I mean, Mars ran out of oxygen. Maybe they sucked it all up. Okay, but then you got a brilliant guy like Elon Musk says, no, we can put that back up there. It's no problem. We can add water back up to Mars. It's easy. Boom, boom, boom. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, exactly. I think that's the question, right? Who knows? Question mark. Oh. Who knows? I don't know, bro.
Also,
go ahead.
Also, I'll let you go. But did you know what the Pharaohs? You should know this, Mike. What the Pharaohs' number one beer was?
Oh shit! I wish I knew.
Oh, you know it. It's Budweiser because they're king of the beers.
Oh, you're killing me! You're killing me, bro. We need the sound effect with the drum and the drum and the cymbal.
Hey, have a great night. Stay positive.
I appreciate the call. Thanks. That's Copper Mustache, the Copper Mustache from YouTube. Go follow him over there. Good stuff. Again, like think about it. Like the conversation we have is better with you guys. You see what happens, right? This is what we're talking about. This is what we're doing tonight. I just kind of set the outline and we go. And as you see, the more people call in, the better the conversation gets. So we're talking about, for lack of a better way, if you guys are just joining us, we're talking about pharaohs and dinosaurs, right? Which seems ridiculous, but there's more to it. Let me just recap real fast, and we'll get to the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So actually, hold on. I think we did a recap, didn't we? Yeah. We just did a recap. Screw it. All right, we're gonna go to the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Now, this is the thing, right? Now, Tam, what's up, Tam? Tam on Tam Bam on Facebook has arrived. The show can finally begin. Tam says, okay, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Regarding this, Tam says this. But what if it is real spells, not just hocus pocus, oils and herbs? What if that book is really real? And you think about it, right? Even in the sense of like a scientific inquiry. And we're talking about, so, okay, now here's the thing with the Egyptians, all right? They're dead. They all didn't get this royal treatment, all right? The royal treatment of the whole mummification process, of the Book of the Dead, of the spells, of the oils and the ointments, and the removing of the organs, and all the rest of this, it was actually reserved for royalty, right? For the god kings, the god queens, right? And so if you were just a regular pyramid worker or whatever, they just buried you in a ditch, or, you know, and they find these graves all the time. So you had to be a notable person to be subjected to the spells and the oils and the ointments and all these things, right? To live forever. All right. That's what it is. It's a situation where they're setting this entire thing up so that these notable individuals will live forever. It's to help them pass into the afterlife and live forever. And the afterlife being a parallel of real life, etc., so on. You see what's going on? But the weird part about all this is, if you think about it in scientific terms, like I started when I began the point, before I digressed a little bit, is that you end up with this DNA business. And so imagine, let's say that they never found King Tut, right? Tutankhamun, right? King Tut. Let's say they never found him, and his tomb remained undisturbed for another 1,000 years, and another many thousands of years, right? His DNA at some point could still be extracted. You see what I'm saying here? And in that capacity, let's say 1,000 years from now, they might be able to just create a new King Tut. Genetically perfect. You see? And so, oddly enough, maybe that Egyptian Book of the Dead and the mummification process and the spells and the whole thing was all that. And it was just keeping the DNA alive long enough so that in the end, they were able to be brought back. And I don't think if you ask many people that are forward thinking, I don't believe they would refute the fact that we're probably, less than 1,000 years away from that, from resurrecting, de-extinction. And crazy stuff. Let's go to Axel. This is Axel from Twitter. Axel, you're on Trouble Minds Mike. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Mike, it's Axel. Let me know if the wind sounds really bad.
You're good. So far, so good.
All right. Well, what do we want to talk about?
You tell me,
De-Extinction.
There's a lot here.
Got mummies.
You tell me. We got pharaohs and dinosaurs. Jurassic Park. Go.
Oh, okay. You're talking about using technology to bring people back to life. It reminds me of there was this in Russia in like the late 19th, very early 20th century. There were these people called I'm going to get it wrong. It's not communism. It's like Kazism, like cosmic with ism at the end. And they were they're basically like proto-transhumanists or like sci-fi people. They thought that that technology would eventually advance to where you could bring people back to life, and that this was like necessary. It was like how the resurrection of the dead was going to happen.
Okay.
And so I'd say, so that idea has been out there for a while. That's going to be like what we end up doing is that, they saw it as the way the biblical resurrection would happen. So that at some point in the future, we would literally bring every single person back that has ever lived.
Yeah. So that's that's a biblical thing. Hold on. I got a quote here real quickly. If I can find it fast, fine. If not, here we go. This is from, let's see. Some people believe that there is no resurrection and that immortality is to be given to spirits in another world. But do remember, it is clearly stated in the Bible, the Old Testament, that God gave Nathan a dream that dry bones will one day be given back their flesh and breath. This indicates one day that humans can be raised from the dead. Another verse in the Bible real quick says, the trumpet shall sound and the dead will be raised incorruptible. There you go. I found it fast enough to not bore you.
Yeah, the idea that you go and hang out in heaven and then eventually get resurrected is sort of current Christian orthodoxy, but like that idea doesn't come around until I want to say like the 2nd century AD. Like early Christians basically believed that the dead would come back and that'd be it. There wasn't like some other immaterial place there was a paradise that you existed between those 2 points in time.
Right, exactly. So at some point, so what we're talking about then, like from a scientific perspective, is if the DNA exists and is able to be brought back, even in like the tiniest particle, then everybody at some point can be brought back, right?
Yeah, and there has to be some mechanism to get souls back in bodies. If in Christian Orthodoxy, if it's going to happen, there must be some way to do it. So but yeah, that's what these people thought. What humanity should be striving to advance our scientific understanding so that we could do it. A sort of do-it-yourself resurrection of the dead rather than waiting for God to do it.
Right, exactly. So we're bringing about the human rapture, but that's the thing too. The biblical rapture is not even that entirely as I actually understand it. Right? It's like an entire like shifting of everything. But if we can actually do that beforehand. Are we canceling some things that have been foretold?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And then I guess the other thing I'd say is that I'm basically for de-extinction. I don't think it's going to happen in big numbers. I think some billionaire is going to create some giant sloths or something. You know, someone's going to make a couple of these things as curiosities if it's possible, but like. It'd be a real effort to try and actually bring back a species because you need, hundreds of individuals to have the necessary genetic diversity and blah, blah, blah. Like, I think so you'd have to clone a bunch of these guys of different ones, different instances. So I think that's probably not going to happen. I'm basically for it. I don't know. Why can't we have a theme park that has a woolly mammoth? Whatever.
Well, okay, which is all fine, but it's not really a woolly mammoth, right? Because it's going to be like a woolly mammoth / elephant hybrid, which would literally be something that's never walked the earth before. You see the implication there?
Woolly mammoth we might be able to do because it's close enough to an elephant. They think that if you replicate the DNA, put it in it'd be an elephant egg. But if you put the DNA in an elephant egg, you probably could get a regular elephant to gestate it. And so like that one's probably doable. But you're right. Like the other ones, there aren't good targets. You have to like somehow create a version of it that another animal could gestate in pregnancy or whatever.
Or test tube it, right? Test tube baby sort of situation where you just kind of grow it in a lab.
Well, they didn't play. I mean, we don't have we don't have artificial womb technology, so like we don't know how to do that. A test tube embryo, you fertilize the embryo in a test tube and then you implant it in the woman or whatever.
Right. Right. So I'm assuming like DARPA technology probably already knows that, but I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying.
Possible.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think it's even probable at this point. It seems like it's probably not a difficult thing to do. I mean, they were talking about remember not too long ago, like a year ago, they were talking about Neanderthal brains that they were creating like these tiny labs and things like based on the DNA of Neanderthals, like some crazy stuff. But again, right? I don't know, like that weirdness. I don't know. That's why we talk about this shit.
I become less a fan of it if you're trying to like create. Well, I guess I'll move along because that's why I don't like it. I do think the nightmare, like the ethical nightmare scenario here is like we basically use this technology to make slaves. Like, wouldn't it be nice if your dog had a 60 IQ and could help you around the house or whatever?
Right. Exactly. Fido, take out the trash.
Yeah. And it's not like animal labor in general is like completely uncomplicated ethically, but obviously the idea of like, well, what if our domesticated animals were a little smarter, and what if we made them friendlier and even more loyal? And I think that's like, where's the line when you're just creating people in order to enslave them? But like, I mean, and the answer is I don't know. We've had slaves a lot from time to time, so I don't think that's going to stop anybody if they learn how to do it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's probably the what many people are striving to actually create, not just robots or transhuman versions of this weird. I think the problem is we're in this bizarre kind of Pandora's box of whether it's going to be like, I don't know, like robotic or not, right? Or where does the line blur? And like you said, if you end up being able to CRISPR your dog to make it smarter, right, to be able to take out the trash or bring you a beer, like then you put the Neuralink in, and then this whole thing just becomes like a Pandora's box of WTF, right? It seems pretty sick to me.
Yeah, I also certainly wouldn't trust us to not Skynet ourselves doing this. You know, the way that story always ends is you create your slave race and they kill you.
Right, exactly, or because the actual singularity takes over and decides humans are the problem, and well,
yeah,
there's always that. There's always that problem.
Always that problem. And then finally, I guess I don't really think World War III is about to break out, but it does look like the Russians might try and seize part of the eastern Ukraine. So that might turn into a big mess.
Yeah, big mess. And don't forget China and Hong Kong and Taiwan. That I think what's happening is they're flexing and backing each other up, and they're like, look, if we both move at the same time and back each other up, right? Then what can they do, right? What can the world say? Like we're like, hey, we're just kind of taking property that belongs to us.
It is true that the Taiwanese government is threatening to hold an independence referendum, I think, this summer, and Beijing has always threatened that if they did that, they'd invade. I don't think they would. The truth is that my understanding is that Beijing doesn't really have the amphibious warfare capability necessary to conquer Taiwan. Like, it's sort of they probably know that, but it is true. They've always said if you have an independence referendum and you vote for independence, we're invading. So
it's on the way. So you're saying it's coming. so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
I think as happened the other times they've threatened it, I think the United States will tell them to knock it off and not hold an independence referendum, because our foreign policy around China and Russia is don't get into a nuclear war with Russia or China.
Yeah, right. Which is probably a good idea. It's probably a good idea. Yeah. All right.
But yeah, could be all over the Ukraine. Could be all over the news in a couple days. Is what there is, like a lot of troop movement going on.
Crimea. Here we go. All over again.
Oh, the eastern part of Ukraine's pretty much ethnically Russian, and like the Ukrainian government right now is being run by this right-wing Ukrainian nationalist party, and so there is the separatists are backed by Russia. There's separatist fighters out there, but there's a real probably if you had a referendum in the eastern Ukraine, they'd vote to join Russia. They don't really want to remain part of the Ukraine.
Yeah, because it's a mess. It's a giant shit show because they're corrupt as hell and they're influenced by Russia. They're like Russia Junior. They're
Russia. Well, they're puppets of the American government. They're handing the president's son $500,000 a year no-show jobs.
Yep. Hey, you can't talk about that, bro. You can't talk about that. It's you get smacked down in the media for bringing that up. It's awful.
Well, if you notice, I didn't say the name for a reason. So don't want your show to get taken down.
I appreciate that. Axel, you're the best, my friend.
All right, thank you. I'll see you around.
All right, talk to you soon. Thanks for calling in. The wind is no problem. The wind is good. Let's go to Kelly. Kelly from Colorado. Thanks for all the calls, guys. What's up, Kelly? You're on Trouble Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, man.
You got a weird background here. I can't really hear you.
I do, or you do?
No, I can barely hear you.
Really? All right, hold on. Let's see. How do we fix this? I think I can just pump myself up to 12. How's that? Can you hear me now?
You want me to try to call right back?
Yeah. If you got a bad connection, let's do that. Let's call right back. It could be a connection thing. Thank you. All right, let's do that. All right, so if you guys want to be part of the show, this is Kelly from Colorado. He's going to call right back, 702-957-1037. We're talking about, oddly enough, dinosaurs and pharaohs. And if you're just showing up and you're confused, you should be. You really should be. All right, let's real quick as Kelly calls back. So this Egyptian Book of the Dead, right? Now real quick. This is from Wikipedia. This is the definition of pharaoh from Wikipedia, right? And of course, when you're talking about ancient civilizations, you kind of don't really have to have worry about too much political bias, in my opinion, because we're not trying to politicize shit that happened 5,000 years ago. We're only trying to politicize shit that happened, 75 or 150 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So, I think at least in some of this, you get into academia and you get into some of these things. I'm not necessarily sure that you have to be wary of Wikipedia in the case of the pharaohs. All right, just saying. But maybe I'm wrong. All right. So the pharaoh the common title now used for the monarchs of ancient Egypt from the first dynasty until the annexation of Egypt by the Roman Empire in 30 BCE. The term pharaoh was not contemporaneously used for rulers until Merneptah, 1210 BCE, during the 19th dynasty, king, and being used most frequently until the middle of the 18th dynasty. In the early dynasties, ancient Egyptian kings used to have the three titles, the Horus, the Sej, and the B-E-E, and the two ladies of Nebti, N-E-B-T-Y. The Golden Horus, as well as the Nomen and Phenom titles, were later added. Anyway, just wanted to throw that in, is that to give you what an actual pharaoh is and how they describe it. And yeah, let's see. What do we got? Good stuff. Looking at the chat, back to Kelly. Hopefully we can get Kelly and everything's all good. Can you hear me, sir? Welcome back to the show. Kelly from Colorado.
Yeah, I can hear you, man. You still got a little echo, but we'll do this. Let's do this.
All right, let's do this. I think, let's see. I don't know. I don't know how to fix it, to be honest. I think maybe if I reboot my computer at this point, it might fix it, but sometimes you get a little echo, a little ghost in the machine. But okay, go right ahead.
We're good, man.
What do you think about all this weird stuff?
I don't know. If you go by the wording, the way that guy talks, he's not talking about bringing back like dinosaurs. He's talking about making different animals to me. So it's just like I think it's man's fantasy about what people like mainstream archaeologists want to call everything that's it's all it was fake. It wasn't real. It was all, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't. Let's see.
Fabricated.
Anyway.
Manufactured.
Mythological, right? It's all a myth, okay? So That's what mainstream media wants you to believe. Like the chimeras, of over in Greek and Roman and in over in Mesopotamia, Egypt, all these different animals that had snakes with wings or a half human face with a lion's body, something like, like Medusa, half human, half like these chimeras, So I think it's something like that they want to build. That's what I'm getting from every time when new science comes up with an idea of doing some shit like that, tinkering around with DNA or something,
Yeah.
Because for me. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so remember when Derek called in, I don't know if you were listening, he was saying that it seems like they're trying to use this DNA from these ancient monsters to create new monsters. And in some capacity, like you said, a chimera, or like I said, a homunculus, or the vessel to bring back monsters from other dimensions, right? Like he kind of mentioned, okay, so a couple things. Like CERN, right? Opening up portals to other dimensions. And then in those particular places are entities that are going to be alien and probably terrifying. And, not benevolent, but who knows, right? Who knows? We don't know these things. But he was kind of making the point that it turns out that, in his opinion, that we're trying to bring back through science these monsters of the ancient days, the old ones, like the Lovecraftian old ones that have maybe not been allowed in this universe for whatever reason for a very long time. And once you open up those portals, like kind of just a reference fiction, Stranger Things, the Demogorgon comes through, right, and becomes something else entirely. And so, funny that it's all. Science is one thing, religion's another, but then we're talking demons in some capacity, right? We're talking about these, like you said, a chimera. These things are basically things that have never, ever walked this earth before, and we're speaking scientifically about making them happen, right?
Well, that's the thing, too. That's why I always like ancient history, because it tells you histories of the planet, you know what I mean? And we can't even say that it wasn't even that those things weren't on this planet or not, because to me, if you're painting it, there's something that they've seen. That's how I see it as, because for me to think, and it's not only just one religion, or it's not just one culture. You know what I mean? It's throughout different cultures. You have like, you know, all the way from around the world. China, you got dragons. You know, you got the flying serpent god of Mesopotamia and South America. You have these weird chimera type, you know, things from Egypt, and those are the ones that are, you know, even in like, you know, you have them in Viking lore. I mean, they're in everything. So, were they fake or were they real? I would, you know, and for me, I would say they're real. You can't just, people say, well, if you haven't found any bones, you know, to find actually dinosaur bones is actually pretty rare. Just because we found a lot in a group, and that's where they're going to find them at, in groups. They're not just going to find them, you know, roaming around all over. So once in a while, kid will like hit a rock or some shit, and, you know, and he found a dinosaur bone, but they're actually pretty rare. So, you know, they're not going to be like spread all over where, you know, you're going to be finding them, you know, like I said, you pick up a rock and they're there. So, I mean, who knows? You just don't know, you know, and like I say, I go back, you know, so if we're talking about, that's what I think they're going to try to do, science. They want to weaponize anything first. That's anything that's brand new coming out, and then, you know, usually goes back into the public. It goes through the military first, because, you know, they don't know, you know, in the government side, they're not going to want some, you know, the civilian world trying to figure out something that's unworldly that we don't know about. They want to have it under wraps. If it blows up, it's in a certain area, or if it tears somebody apart, you know. But yeah, you know, when you guys were talking earlier about making, you know, let's say woolly mammoth, right? That's kind of be the closest one you could put in the womb of an elephant. But nowadays, you don't even need that, you know, or who knows how long they ever need that stuff. Because you can just, you know, test tube babies or whatever, you know, let them grow to a certain, you know, and then birth them. Then you just raise them up. But for me, that's what I think, you know, because nowadays you don't even have to try to control the mind like, you know, you had old sci-fi movies that talk about that, or, you know, books when they're trying to, like, tap into the mind. Nowadays, they just, you know, tap into the DNA and make these things stronger, smarter, faster, you know, better eyesight. Who knows, larger, you know, strength-wise. So, it's, you know, it's possible. These people have been, you know, our scientists have been tinkering around. That Japanese science has been tinkering around that since World War I and II.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying not to talk because I know I got an echo for you. You know, is it better?
Is that bringing stuff back to life with the Egyptian thing?
Yeah, go ahead. What about
for
that?
Me,
actually, Kelly, give me. You go. Give me 30 seconds. I'm going to step away for just a sec, but go. I'll be right back. Go.
Okay. All right. So for me, and like again, I always go back because you can always find the history goes back into Sumeria, because that's, again, the first writing that, you know, people know, the known of, right? And it's got thousands of books or tablets, you know, so it all makes sense. But again, if I go back, the Zacharian extension interpretations, he talks about their ability to actually bring something that's someone that's dead back to life. And how they did it was, the first thing they did it was, well, they talked about anyway, because they were brought back an emissary that was dead on Mars. You know, he was actually looking after the first king, which is Alalu, that died, and then his face is on the Mars. We talked about that earlier, but there was an emissary that took him to Mars, and that he also died. And how they brought him back to life, and it's the whole body. It's not just, so people were wondering too about if it was like the brain, or, you know, you would, or they would say the soul, you know, going back, or the conscious going back to it. The way they explained it is they brought this person back to life. They used like what they call a transmitter or something. They had crystals, and they went over the heart area, the chest area, like 40 times, and then his heart came. Then his, like, you know, they had movement. I guess he came to life, like his heart jumped or whatever. And then they gave him, I guess they gave him what they call the life of water and the life of the food of life and the life of water. And, you know, put that on his lips and let him drink that and then eat it. And then he came back to life. So in the Egyptian lore, that's what they always believed too. And, you know, some of these, And if you look at back in history too, all these kings and, you know, so-called demigods were, you know, like, you know, children of these Anunnaki or whatnot, or, you know, whatever species they want to claim they were, you know, they were children of these things, and they were the rulers and kings. So if they could bring them back to life, you would think that they'd want to have, you know, after their life is, you know, extinguished here on this planet, that if they have the ability to do that, then, you know, then they would need a body. I don't know about just bones, but the way they explained it in the book, it was just, you know, they brought them back to life. And, you know, and it happened twice, you know. They talked about it twice. And so it's pretty interesting that you find this stuff in, again, 3,000, 5,000-year-old tablets.
Yeah, and it starts to make some sense, right? I mean, how about okay, so now I know you believe in like the energy type situation, like less like the religious stuff. So let me ask you this. If we're able to take the DNA of a pharaoh, let's say Ramses II, and create this person DNA perfectly, do you think there are implications for like greater spiritual implications for this individual that literally is supposedly supposed to only be alive one time but is now alive twice? Do you think that this person may be damaged in some capacity, like we're not able to replicate the DNA perfectly, or do you think that it should be fine and like just kind of have a new vessel, a new person, and we teach him how to be a modern person? What do you think about that?
I don't know. My personal belief on leaving something dead would probably just leave it as it is, unless, you know what I mean, because I don't know. I have two situations with that one, because if you're dead, then you should probably, you know, your time is extinguished, and, you know, to bring you back, you know, say again, like people say that they were, you know, mean back then or whatever, but that's when they were rulers. If he was to be born now, he would be what? King of Egypt still, but what would they want from him? There'd be a reason why they would want to bring somebody back to life, so they could show him that they had the power and the ability to do so, and that now that this God that we bring back to life owes us one. You know, something like that. The implications of some of that is, you know, just let something lie, you know, just let it die, you know what I mean? But, you know, about this conversation earlier too, you guys were having about, you know, certain animals and stuff that have died. You know, some of these I would say, I've seen this post one time that was saying that everything that died, all the animals that went extinct is because of humans. Because we hunted everything to death. We destroyed everything not even for food. Like, for example, when Europeans first got here, they were told to wipe out all the buffalo because they wanted to wipe out the Native American Indians. So, you know, they weren't even eating any of the meat. They were just wiping them out just to wipe them out. So, I mean, nature does its course, of course, you know, and there's hunting of all animals on this planet. But to have something go extinct would be like dinosaurs and be, you know, a major cause for a reason or something. You know, like we have, you know, ancient tales of deluge, or, you know, something like a meteor strike or a comet strike that hit the Earth, or something movement, or another planet coming into the orbit of our galaxy, or of our of our planetary system. But still, to think about something like that, it's I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. I would like to see some animals like that alive, but I don't know if you'd want to bring back like the carnivore type ones where, you know, they're going to be hunted. Anything that flies, that would be fucking stupid. Because, you know, if they can be able to fly and, you know, they hatch somewhere else, you know, if you could keep them on an island like they were talking about, but still, you really don't want to start messing with carnivores or anything big like that, because if they get out, it's just trouble, you know. But yeah, we already seen, like you said, that show was kind of a warning.
Yeah, Michael Crichton wrote that as science fiction, but I think it was a warning, like very much like many science fiction books actually are. Crazy stuff. I don't know, like kind of just weird thoughts kind of commingled together is where we're at tonight. And I'm not sure. I don't have answers for this. I think that these are the things we should be thinking about as the future kind of is like heading toward us like a freight train, right? I mean, the future's on the way, man. There's no stopping that. And the problem is that we have these questions that are bigger than people, and we have people deciding them, right? And it's not you and me. Unfortunately, it's like some asshole with a lot of money. Like, these are the people deciding the future, and it's sick. It's why we live in this sick world, right?
Yeah, it's people. I mean, it's people with big ideas. I mean, I'll give them that, but it's dangerous to be. They don't know how to say when, and that's already been a proven fact with humanity itself. There's no when. No one can ever say when is when. I mean, enough is enough. We don't need to go further down that road or down that path because there's something that we don't. It's Pandora's box is something you might not even want to open in the first place. But it's pretty interesting though to think that you have the ability to do that. And again, we kind of go back to where all these other alien species that are out there, if their ability to create life, like say that was all the stories that are true about the ancient Sumerians and all that stuff. Maybe that's what we're destined to do, at one time or another. And hopefully we evolve a little bit further than what we are as these warmongering, everybody's talking about the war and all this stuff or World War III coming up, I mean, I love everybody in the chat, but, my mindset is on the opposite of that. I don't even try to give it any kind of energy because if you give it your energy, even thinking about it, I know, yes, you to be informed, but to give it too much energy is just bringing it forth to life. You know what I mean? So I try to go positive in the opposite direction of that, and try to keep it. Yes, it's there, but you don't want to. You don't give it attention. You got to find ways to conquer the darkness of that situation that goes on in politics and bullshit like that.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I hate that politics runs the world because it's corrupt as hell, like to the bone. It's unfortunate. I appreciate the call, Kelly. Anything else while we got you on the
phone? One last thing is the only thing that I think about when these guys are, scientists talk about resurrecting people, bringing stuff back to the dead. I know I've also studied that and I've looked into that, to the ancient ways, but what I try to find is even something greater is what Thoth has done is he's defied death, and, that's why, but his resurrection was 3 times here on earth, but his consciousness and everything is together. And to be able to do that would try to prolong your life. And he's got secrets in his book as well. If people read it once, but 100 times. But we're on maybe 10. We're still trying. Anyway, peace to the family and everybody be good, man. Talk to you later.
Thanks a lot, bro. You too. God bless you and the fam. Talk to you soon. All right. That's Kelly from Colorado. Good takes as always. Definitely good stuff. If you guys, Tim, what's up? I don't know if Tim's still out there, but Tim was supposed to call. Waiting for Tim to call, man. What's up, buddy? I was going to let you go. When Tim calls and gets on a roll, man, you just stay out of the way and let him go. Good stuff, Kelly. Good stuff, Axel. Good stuff, Derek. Good stuff. Everybody who called tonight. Let's go back to Beechwood real quick. What's up, Beechwood? You're on Troubled Minds, Mike. What's up, my man?
Oh, what's up, my man? It's an awesome show. This is an awesome show because I'll call you and tell you that that the human race had some sort of intervention with aliens, and now what's awesome about this is we talk about. It was about recreating, dinosaurs. There's a lot of people out there in some aspect will tell you that a form of dinosaur still isn't extinct, and we know that there's been, mass extinctions, but it's an interesting thing that the DNA could still exist, does still exist now. And, when I was a kid, they told me dinosaurs were like reptiles, 100% scales, everything. And then the thing came out that, no, they're more like birds. And, things have changed. Yeah. And with the fossil record of dinosaurs is what you see in museums and stuff, there actually have been very few full skeletons found of dinosaurs. I don't even think that if there's any. They have massive parts but a lot of the stuff you see in museums is actually cast of, you know, what it should look like. And there's a lot of reasons for that, because if you put really old, fragile things on display, they can get damaged. This goes for artwork, too. A lot of museums actually have replica artwork because the risk of the real stuff getting damaged. But the other thing that got me with Ramses, I loved learning about the Egyptian stuff in school. Now, Ramses allegedly had like over 100 kids. You know, he allegedly had, I forget, it was like, I forget the number of wives, but it was tons and tons of kids. And, you know, they talk about, they say that Genghis Khan has the most relatives on this earth now.
Yeah, it's some ridiculous amount, like 20% or something like that. People are related to Genghis Khan.
Yeah, something like that. So
yeah.
it just, that's what makes me question, like, if you were to clone them back then and bring them here now, like, are they still here now? Is this just the way the course of evolution is supposed to be? Because I don't know what to say about this, but that's what the one thing that I, you know, that people forgot to mention, like, pharaohs had tons of kids. You know, they were worshipped as like gods. And Ramses, I believe, was actually made a god before he was dead, which was very unusual in the Egyptian time. At least that's what I was told. So Ramses, I don't know, it makes me...
Ramses the Great.
It makes me wonder.
It depends on the kingdom. So as far as I'm aware, like sometimes they try to keep the bloodline pure and they married the brother and the sister, and you know that was the next pharaoh. And other times, you're right. I'm sure they have tons of illegitimate children, right, as powerful people would. And but I think they're just not really recognized as royalty as part of that. But again, I don't know. We're kind of trying to put the past together from ancient languages written in stone on walls. So. Who really knows? Who really knows?
And then also there's no telling, you know, what was stolen over the years. Because King Tut, you know, that story is awesome. That it was like the water boy that accidentally kind of discovered the tomb. And, you know, that's just an awesome story. I don't know if that's true, but they said it was a water boy, went to get water, stopped, took a rest, and, you know, sand started falling in, looked in, and, you know, they found King Tut's tomb. And then now I found it on the internet, they said that they found a labyrinth in Egypt, you know, present day, that hasn't been really released to the public, with all sorts of new stuff in it, which is just, I don't know, you don't know what's out there still, you know, what's in the ground. There's so much in the ground and on the bottom of the ocean floor, you know, as far as our history, and it's so easy to change along the way.
Yeah, hold on. So while I got you on the phone, let me introduce this last piece of the puzzle tonight. I meant to get to this earlier, and I did not. This was the most amusing one to me, but it really kind of brought the two pieces of things together, right? The Jurassic Park, the de-extinction of things, and the mummies and the ritual that was happening. Check this out. This is, now I know you're going to laugh at the source. This is reported by the dailystar.co.uk, all right? Now, everybody knows this is the bad tabloid in the UK, but holy crap, that link is huge. I'm going to try and trim that link down. Sorry, guys. But okay, so anyway, point being, I'm going to just put it up on the thing, and I'll trim the link down and add it to the things here. This is reported by the Daily Star, and the headline is this: Vatican digs illegal tunnel to exhume King David's DNA and bring Messiah back to life. And there's the key to the castle. There's the key to the puzzle. Let me read just a little bit of this. The Vatican has been digging a secret tunnel in Jerusalem in order to exhume King David's DNA and resurrect the Messiah, a rabbi has claimed. The Regavim movement, a group dedicated to the protection of Israel's national resources, filed a petition against the Jerusalem municipality last week, demanding they take action against the tunnel. It's claimed there is a passage approximately 1,900 feet long and 5 feet wide under the Church of the Dormition on Mount Zion, on which construction was completed about 12 years ago. Regevim alleges Catholic authorities built the tunnel from the main building of the Dormition Abbey to the residences of the clergy in the Beit Yosef building. And of course, the rabbi says it was built to allow the members of the Church of the Dormition to exhume the remains of King David, who of course was the king of Israel who killed the giant Goliath, who is believed to have been buried in Mount Zion. There it is. So the Vatican digs illegal tunnel to exhume King David's DNA and bring the Messiah back to life. There it is. There's the link of the two things. Finally, at the end, the keystone. The keystone.
Yeah, that's some wild stuff, man. The tunnel thing, you know, there's so much history underground still that we don't know about, and there's so much history on the ocean floor we don't know about. And you know, American history, when they expanded the international waters, that was partly because of that. And I think it was Roosevelt at the time that did it, but he knew how much is actually on, you know, the ocean floor as far as material. But the thing with the tunnels, I mean, there's the catacombs in Paris that, like, you're not allowed to go in because so many people get in, you know, but they're tunnels. And then, you know, KGB had their own secret tunnel system in Russia. And now Elon Musk, I've even seen they have they're talking about a transportation system that's tunnels. And
Yeah.
I think, you know, they could potentially already be there, you know, secretly, you know, for elite, I don't know, government, but subterranean could be the future as well.
Yeah, we've got them here in Vegas. We've got we're one of the pioneers for Elon Musk's what's it called? Whatever digging the tunnels is. But yeah, we'll see. I haven't actually seen it yet, but they're supposedly building one here in Vegas. Crazy stuff, man, right? And there it is, right? The Vatican digs the illegal tunnel to exhume King David's DNA and bring the Messiah back to life from the line of David. well, here we are.
Maybe. I would love to see what's actually in the you know, the Vatican's library.
Oh, hell yeah.
They have released to the public, you know, that there's a big, you know, thing in there. And, you know, part about history, what I learned myself is, you know, I got into, you know, martial arts, and that history is all twisted by Hollywood too. If you really get into it and you look how it was passed down and how old it is. And I know they have the things with debunking fake martial arts, but every culture had some form of you know, a fighter. And when you actually get into it and research it, you find more history that was passed down through people rather than mainstream written down history. And it's just amazing how easily it is to get twisted. You know, that game of telephone, like, you know, you pass the word on. So it's almost like we don't even really know where we stand right now, if you ask me. I know we're doing good. I have good thoughts, but it's cool. It's mysterious. I feel like I'm walking around a bunch of zombies a lot of time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Tam Bam from Facebook says, the Vatican Library, fuck that. I want to see what's in their vault. I kind of agree. Beachwood, you're the best. Thanks for the call, my man. We're going to finish this up.
All right. Awesome show. Thanks for having me on. And I look forward to the future, my friend. So I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. That's Beachwood from Massachusetts. Good call. Is that, wait. Yeah. Massachusetts. Yeah. All right. So what's up? Shout out to Rick says 1 in 10 Asians have Genghis Khan DNA. Exactly, right? Like, that's the type of thing we're talking about here. Is that, yeah, maybe. Maybe. Well, drinking the maybe juice. As always, taking a couple sips of the maybe juice as we continue this. Emmon says, why would David's DNA bring back the Messiah? He's not the Messiah. Well, it's from the line of David, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, my biblical knowledge is kind of sketchy, as many of you know. But that's just from the Daily Star. What can I say? I saw it, and it linked the two things together and was like, oh, there it is. There it is. We're going to de-extinct the kings of old, and whatever that means for the future is what it means. So anyway, as we finish this up, as we get down to the bottom of the barrel here, if you guys are still here listening to this stuff, you guys are Troubled Minds super fans. You know this. We are just kind of talking about the world around us, just talking about this bizarre version of the news cycle and Jurassic Park and the pharaohs and the line of King David. I mean, right? Like in my wildest dreams, anyway, I never thought I'd link the three, but here we are linking the three, and we're talking about bringing them back, right? Bringing back these individuals through this de-extinction method. And what does it mean? What are the implications of man playing God, and what does it mean for the souls of those that are resurrected and come back? Lots of big questions here, I think. Lots of stuff to think about, and amazing stuff. What can you do? What's up, Dark Devious? I see you there. Who'd I miss? Anybody I missed I didn't say hi to that I should say hi to, because they're still here after 3 long-ass hours. People are still here. Singe Man, what's up? Josh, let's see. Joshua, I see you on YouTube. Who else? People come and go, so it's hard to keep up with everybody all the time. But anyway, deal is this. We're done for tonight. Tomorrow we're going to talk about animals, familiar spirits. We've got somebody from the Fringe Discord that's going to call in and talk about this. They have a story about their dog. But so basically, like, you notice how animals have like a sixth sense? And people have said that they're actually in tune with like the spirit world. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So that we already know it's unusual for us to have like an actual thing to talk about a full day ahead, but good conversations kind of spawn good ideas, and that's what we're talking about. So we'll have that tomorrow night. And for tonight, you guys know what's up. We're done, but this conversation continues because it's one big conversation, isn't it? It's one really large conversation, meaning that, God willing, it doesn't end. Tomorrow we do it again. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. You're going to find us on The Fringe. You're going to find Troubled Minds on D-Live, YouTube, and Facebook, and we're doing our thing. We're talking about all the weird stuff that nobody will touch, trailblazing some things that nobody's put together yet, and wondering if World War III is around the corner. You never know. Like, these are the things, right? Like, did you really think that, back in World War II, that was around the corner? You know what I mean? I don't know. Good stuff. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks for hanging out. Let's see. We got Meep. We got Axel. Axel says they claim they're going to try and fool people into thinking the clone is Jesus. Oh, dear Lord. The King David thing? Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that's from a tabloid. It was convenient to kind of link everything together. Anyway, we're done. We're finished. Thanks for hanging out tonight, you guys. You're the best. You know the drill. You know the line. Be sure, be strong, be true. Take care of yourselves, because if you don't, you can't take care of others. And I appreciate you guys being here for so long. Thank you for listening. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night.